Chapter 401. Time passed very quickly. 5 minutes later, William used various soul skills to expel Lane's soul from his body. He punched Lane's into pieces. It could not be helped. The rules of this world were that all injuries were considered real injuries. William only needed to use his strength to control Lane's limbs, so that Lane's could not make hand seals to cast spells. Then, he could use various soul magic to deal with Lane's. It had to be said, the magic used by the Blue Moon people was outdated, who still needed incantations and hand seals to cast spells. It looked very handsome, but could being handsome make a living? It seemed like it could be eaten. William scratched his head. At this moment, the space lock disappeared. At this moment, everyone looked at the naked Lanes that William was carrying. They were in a daze and did not know what to say. Blood Armor 6 was also in a bad situation. He was tied to a stick like a dead pig. Those who did not know would think that he was going to be roasted. They did not speak much and ignored Blood Armor 6's incessant shouts. They avoided the cuttlefish monsters with short tentacles and killed the cuttlefish monsters with long tentacles. Soon, they arrived outside the palace and opened the door. The swamp octopuses were crawling towards the palace. Time was of the essence. Fortunately, the palace was empty, and there was no threat at all. Or rather, the real threat was the three fellows who wanted to possess the body. It was a pity that God disposes. As long as they possessed 3 people, they might be able to borrow the swamp cuttlefish's tentacles to kill everyone else and replace them to return to the god's continent. But the unlucky son of the god of space had died under William's left hand of the thunder god. It had to be said. It was a sad story. William looked around cautiously and was about to enter the palace. Lanes woke up in shock and struggled to stand on the ground. Then, he quickly took out a second set of magical robes from his space ring and put them on. He ignored the strange gazes of the others and looked at the prince with a complicated gaze. He blinked his blue eyes and said in a conflicted tone, "Thank you, Prince William, for saving my life. It's all right, it's all right. I've already gotten the benefits. It's good that you're awake." William patted his space ring. He had taken what he needed. Now, he just had to open the door. This son of the Blue Moon's expression didn't change, but he was a little depressed. He thought, "It's enough that you took the glove. Why did you have to take my clothes? Could it be that you really want to do something? I saw it clearly just now." Lan Zhe felt a lingering fear in his heart. He had just been possessed, but it was not that he did not have any consciousness. He could still see, hear, and feel, but he could not control his own body. That soul was not too strong, but the abyss aura made him unable to resist. If there were no accidents, his ancestor should have been completely assimilated by the abyss world. He even received some sort of blessing. But why exactly did he have memories? This was something he couldn't figure out. But what William did not expect was, Blucia's impression of him actually increased by 150 points. What was going on? "Little brother, your hobby is quite strange. Do you have Stockholm Syndrome? Do you need me to introduce you to a mental hospital?" I found the door. Following Delosis's call, everyone hurried to his side and saw a small black ball floating in midair. Space cracks were constantly spreading out from the black ball. This little thing was like a black hole. But this thing was the teleportation portal to leave. The 3 parties did not dare to delay any longer. The swamp cuttlefish was about to arrive, so they quickly worked together to open the door. The small black ball was constantly expanding. Soon, it formed a space crack that could allow them to leave. As the palace continued to collapse and the cuttlefish's tentacles reached in, everyone left without hesitation. They crossed a water curtain. They appeared in the god's continent, which was the black dragon's lair. Beneath their feet were collapsed palaces. But the teleportation portal was still expanding. The effects of the space overlapping appeared, and the blood mist seemed to be entering from another world. They could even see the swamp cuttlefish reaching out its tentacles from outside the door. When Delosis, Blue Sea, and Blood Armor 3 saw this, they said to William, "The more the space overlapping spreads, the harder it will be to control it. If you want to save your territory, you have to find a sage immediately to solve this problem." William smiled and said, "Leave it to me." His mission was to snatch the space staff and solve the problem of the space overlapping at the root. No one knew what he was muttering, but the Lord of Space, royal power, automatically emitted a spatial fluctuation. The teleportation portal rapidly shrunk and turned into a small black ball before disappearing. That was it. The instant's dungeon was completed. William heaved a sigh of relief. He glanced at Blue Sea, Delosis, Blood Armor 3, and Blood Armor 6, who were tied up, who were the only ones left. They did not intend to say anything else. After leaving the underground space that was littered with corpses, they saw the light of day again. Then they went their separate ways. Blood Armor 3 took Blood Armor 6, who was tied up, and left in a hurry. Delosis nodded at William and left with his men. Blue Sea was the only one left. He took the initiative to exchange contact details with William before he left. Burned Cinder and Diablo looked at each other. They were puzzled. What was going on? Was William's networking skills that good? How could he obtain so many favorable impressions after snatching something? William could not be bothered with them. As he flew towards the Green Light City, he opened the information window to check his mission reward. Prompt: The invasion of the Abyss world has been completed. Mission completion rate, 53%. Prompt: Rewarded 820,000 experience points. Prompt: Rewarded with the endowment Heart of Justice. Endowment Heart of Justice. You have a righteous, kind, and fearless heart. You will not compromise in the face of the Abyss world, and you will bravely protect the God's continent from being invaded. You will have an additional 20% resistance to negative buffs such as mental control, mental invasion, and mental damage. It's a strange mission reward, but the word Heart of Justice suits my character. William raised his eyebrows, but he suddenly understood. If he could snatch the space staff, it meant that he could complete the mission. But if he was completely controlled, it meant that he could not complete the mission. But he had used the hand of the Thunder God to kill the guy who wanted to control him. The so-called Heart of Justice should be the endowment to deal with this aspect. At the same time, he received a message from his magic transmission scroll. William looked at it carefully, and his expression kept changing. He could not help but clench his fist. Oh no! It was not any other situation. The war in the extreme north was getting more and more intense. Many epic experts had already made their move. The scale of the war in the extreme north had increased. Now, the legendary experts were the ones holding down the fort. The epic rankers could now make their move. Damn, it's only been a few months. My Dragonblood Legion has not completed the mission. William clenched his fists. He looked at his experience points. Level 125. He was 15 levels away from the epic level. Tian Duo was the one with the lowest experience points. He had to gain more experience points. He had to quickly reach level 140. At least before the version update when the players left. He had to reach level 140 to stand firm in the 10 years of bloody war. After all, his main occupation was a domain warrior, and his secondary occupation was an enchanter. Only then would he be considered an expert in the legendary continent. More importantly, with the passing of the 10-year blood war, other than the saints, even the legendary big shots would personally participate. After all, this was an empire-level war. How long would it take to rely on the advanced and guru professions? William immediately led his men to the Green Light City. He muttered to himself, "Now, there are players who have reached the advanced level. Although the number is small, I have to make them speed up. Only when they level up will they pay more experience points for equipment, secret manuals, and skills. Then, I can gain more experience points." Chapter 402. William had saved millions of people in Green Light City in a short period of time. When he returned to the city, he did not mention the crisis that he had just encountered. Instead, he hurried to the extreme north. This was the magical version of the journey of the gallant. After the deed was done, he left in a huff. For a moment, William felt that the endowment of the heart of justice was very suitable for him. Although the effect of this endowment was very ordinary, NPCs relied on time to develop more and more endowments. When they reached the epic and legendary levels, which NPC did not have dozens of endowment, they were too embarrassed to go out. I have also made contact with the Murderous Temple and the Blue Moon people. This will be very helpful for my future development. William sighed. He immediately brought Burned Cinder and Burned Cinder into the teleportation portal. In a short period of time, they had traveled from the southern region to the Frost Kingdom. They walked out of the teleportation portal. Boundless ice and snow filled their vision. The cold air was bone-chilling. It was a snowstorm. William and his companions did not have time to change their clothes. They activated their battle energy shields to protect themselves from the cold. William looked at Burned Cinder and said, "Epic experts have become the main force of the battlefield. This means that there are more and more Grandmaster professionals on both sides. Head to the fortress first. Prevent Grandmaster teams from entering the city to cause damage." "Yes, my lord." Burned Cinder nodded. They quickly headed to the Dawn Fortress. In terms of intermediate professionals, the City of Dawn had a great advantage. There were 1.8 million players who could be easily killed. There were also tens of thousands of advanced legions. But when the epic professionals and Grandmaster professionals became the main force on the battlefield, the entire City of Dawn was not even 1% of the Elven army. Their current goal was to guard the fortress. When the legions were mobilized, they would act as guards to reduce their losses. William checked his recent achievement points. In the 2 days that he had been away, there were not many battles, big or small. But the achievement points that the players killed belonged to him. William used the Dawn achievement points to distribute to the players. In other words, millions of players were working for William. It was obvious that the Elven achievement points were worth much more than the Dawn achievement points. In just 2 days, William's achievement points had reached 80,000 again. 1/3 of the 80,000 points came from the Dawn Legion. Players have already become my greatest money-making chip. The Dragonblood Legion's ever-victorious record has already reached 8% completion. The veteran players had more or less reached the intermediate level. Most of their equipment was gold quality, and most of their secret manuals were intermediate or advanced. Only a few of them had mounts. How do I get experience from the players? William walked on the street and greeted the people around him from time to time. He was still 230 million EXP away from reaching level 140. This wasn't a small amount. If he wanted to earn that much EXP from other players, it wouldn't be a small matter. But when he found the Merit Exchange Officer, he suddenly thought of an idea. Skills. That's right. Some unique and special skills are also ways to earn big bucks. For example, the mental chain that I placed in the contribution exchange list. This kind of skill that can link a party's consciousness can be said to be selling like hotcake. However, those party leaders, team leaders, and even many experts would be too embarrassed to be party leaders in dungeons if they didn't have the mental chain skill. Until now, the mental chain still gives me a lot of experience from time to time. What if I have a few more special skills? William thought about the many special skills of his subordinate. Legolas Concentration was extremely suitable for ranger players. Burned Cinders, Raging Flames, was suitable for fire-type players. Diablo's Metal Ball Shield was suitable. There were also things like Temporary Ice Seal and the Sudden Attack. All in all, William thought of 10 special skills. They were skills that were not restricted by occupations and had special effect. It was worth it for the players to spend a certain amount of experience to upgrade them. Because the most important thing was, the names of these skills seemed to have attribute. But the important thing was that other people could learn them. If the close combat players learned the skills of mages, they wouldn't have enough intelligence, endowment, or equipment. The effects wouldn't be very good. For example, if a mage learned the shield attack of a shield warrior, he wouldn't have enough strength. But the more skills there were, the more life-saving and killing moves there would be. In particular, these special skills could be learned by various occupations to a large extent, and the effects would be very good. When such a situation occurred, the players would just be delaying for time, and their leveling speed would be much slower. William had always been afraid that the players were too strong, because no matter how many skills the players had, they were still inferior to a legendary boss like William. That's settled. Let's get a batch of skills first. William laughed. Then, he placed 10 special skills on the mercenary team's contribution exchange list. It did not take long. Many players on the forum made a big fuss. Concentration, LVL1. Increase critical hit damage by 10% for 10 minutes. Consume 100 battle energy points / magic point. Cooldown time, 15 minutes. Exchange restriction, elite mercenaries. Exchange restriction, intermediate professionals. Skill creator, Legolas. Gosh, this skill is very awesome. Isn't he the leader of the City of Dawn's Rangers? The one above me, watch your words. Our ranger boss is His Highness. Cough, are you lying? Don't you know that Prince William is not a ranger? The key is that there are no occupations. This skill is awesome, and the cooldown time is so short. Even close combat professionals can learn it. It's like a passive endowment. Gosh, the key is that these skills don't require money, achievement points, or contribution points. They only require experience. A remnant skill page that can be upgraded by 10 levels costs 100,000 experience points. And every time you upgrade by 10 levels, you have to use 100,000 experience points to exchange for the next remnant page. Hehe, do you really think that every remnant page costs 100,000 experience points? Believe it or not, when you upgrade this skill to level 10, the value of the second remnant page will definitely double. Don't care so much. Our rangers want concentration. This skill is something that even Prince William has learned. What reason do we not have? After William saw this post, he did not dare to say anything. He had not learned the concentration skill. For him, even if this skill was upgraded to the maximum level, it would only increase critical hit damage by 80%. For a guy like him, who had a full set of legendary equipment, it was not significant. It was a waste of experience points. In particular, he had obsessive-compulsive disorder. If he did not upgrade his skill level to the maximum, he would not be satisfied, and he had intended to exchange for the remnant page at double the price. But he thought about it. Every time a player obtained an additional skill, the experience points required for each upgrade was a little too much. He decided that it would be enough to increase 100,000 experience points per remnant page. It did not take long for the players of the City of Dawn to discover these skills. Of course, many people would not exchange for all of them. To them, it was enough to exchange for 1 or 2 skills. They could exchange for the skills, but they could not afford to upgrade them. But the appearance of these skills made some professional players excited. These were skills that they had obtained for free. If they did not upgrade them to the maximum level, they would be letting themselves down. Many players of the Glory Club gathered together. Their eyes lit up, and they looked as if they wanted to eat someone up. After thinking for a long time, Chu Liuqiu made up his mind. He slammed the table and said, "Exchange for all of these 10 skills." Someone gasped. That was too much of a waste. Xiao Ayan asked worriedly, "Will it slow down the speed of us becoming high-level professionals and affect the professional competitions?" Learning all of them doesn't mean that all of them will be upgraded to the maximum level. Moreover, the missions in the City of Dawn are not only of high quality, but they also provide more experience points. Even if we suppress our level, we won't be any worse off than the foreign professional players. Chu Liuqiu smiled and said, "You have to know that professional skills have to be upgraded to the maximum level, just like the character's level. But this special skill doesn't need to be upgraded. It's like the mental chain." Then he said, "Moreover, haven't you realized that these skills are functional skills? For example, that temporary freeze can freeze all of us. Not only that, during this period of time, it would increase my defense and HP regeneration speed. This was basically a super hidden skill. I had no idea why His Highness would release such a treasure for us to use experience points to exchange for. Could it be that he was afraid of the Orc Empire? Is he trying to increase our strength?" Changli Jioga obediently raised his hand. Chu Liuqiu gave him a look, indicating for him to continue talking. This loyal bootlicker of Prince William laughed. "I don't know if Prince William is afraid of being beaten up, but I feel that it's good to have more functional skills. But skills like temporary freeze need to be upgraded to at least a few dozen levels before they can be of great effect. More importantly, we might not have enough battle energy and mana points to use so many functional skills. We need at least legendary secret manuals to be able to sustain our consumption. Otherwise, we won't be able to use them even if we exchange for them." Chu Liuqiu glanced at him. "Have you been eating brain platinum recently? Have you become smarter?" "No. This godly product that has been around for hundreds of years is cowhide, but I've been eating brain tonic pills." Changli Jioga shook his head. Chu Liuqiu was speechless. He could only say, "Don't worry. We're using epic secret manuals now. But after we reach the advanced level, we should be able to exchange for legendary secret manuals." "Really?" Many professional players asked in surprise. "Why would I lie to you? The game Gods is a little popular and there are more and more players. There are hundreds of thousands of players under our Glory Guild. When the time comes, we can get some profits and exchange for legendary secret manuals that we can use. And this situation of exchanging for 10 skills, but not having enough battle energy and secret manuals, had appeared in front of many players. Of course, this was not a problem for professional players, tycoons, professionals, and super liver kings. But for many ordinary players, it was a hindrance. So many players could only selectively exchange for 1 or 2 skills that were worth using. Or they could spend 1 million experience points in one go and exchange for all of them. Even if they did not level up, they could exchange for the skills for fun. In short, these 10 special skills brought William 180 million experience points in just 3 days. He still needed more than 50 million experience points to level up. Chapter 403. He still needed 50 million experience points to reach level 140. The experience points did not seem to be a lot. William beamed with joy as he looted the players. But if he continued to loot, he would bleed until the players' kidneys became weak. By then, they would not just be looting. They would have to spend money. The prince did not want the game producers to take the blame for him, so he decided to hold back for now. He did not think of too many ideas. After all, the players were on the verge of reaching the advanced. They were saving up money in order to upgrade their equipment when they reached the advanced level. There were less than 100 advanced players in the legendary continent. They were all great players. It was not the time to loot the advanced players. But it had to be said. The advantages of being a great player were gradually revealed. Perhaps their equipment was not good enough, or their skills and secret manuals were not of high quality. But the difference between the advanced and the intermediate had caused a qualitative change. It became much easier to follow the advanced players into the instance dungeon and fight monsters. After all, just the change in the health points of the advanced players was simply terrifying. This caused many advanced players to be roped in by various large guilds. Wherever there were people, there would be fights. As for the players who liked the virtual world, they were even more adept at deception for their own interest. There were all kinds of tricks that were impossible to defend against. In the extreme north's military fortresses, there would often be fights between guilds trying to poach high-tiered players to join them. All kinds of sowing discord, seduction, injuring oneself to gain the confidence of others, and killing with a borrowed knife. Anyway, the 36 stratagems were performed one after another. It was very exciting. The prince wanted to give them a thumbs up. In fact, he had more or less experienced such things in his previous life. But because of this experience, he decided to mingle alone. He used his delicate skills and handsome looks to become a celebrity's sidekick. William even saw a small guild that had a few great players. A large guild used secret manuals, wealth, and equipment to forcefully steal 2 of the guild's secret manuals. The 2 that had been pried away still wanted to take away the other 2 liver emperors. In the end, not only did the small guild have internal strife, but the large guild also took the opportunity to completely disperse. The leader of the small guild, Slow Wind, returned to the City of Dawn in a lonely manner. He seemed to have seen through the mundane world and intended to retire. Of course, it was unknown if he would coincidentally obtain a legendary secret manual and make a comeback. Anyway, this was the world of players. It was very simple. Every day, apart from fighting, admiring the scenery, causing trouble, or completing quests, William never intervened in the internal conflicts between the players, because no matter how they fought, no matter how the guild rose and fell, the players had to stay in the City of Dawn, and the quality of the Dawn mercenary team was improving. That was enough. According to his calculations, there were more than 10,000 large and small guilds in the City of Dawn. Among them, 53% of the players were from the subordinate guilds led by the club. There were less than 10 such guilds. The other 47% belonged to the more than 10,000 large and small guild. Among them, there were many guilds with dozens of members. These people all existed in the name of family and close friend. They were either cultivator players or casual players. This sort of small clan guild could be extremely strong, while the weak could be extremely weak. In short, dogs looking for cats, ducks looking for chickens, there would always be a guild that suited certain players. Naturally, the guild with the most members was the 2-time world champion, a glory guild. The guild had nearly 150,000 members and was the largest gaming guild in the Huaxia region. As the leading guild in the City of Dawn, the Glory Guild was always at the top of various activities, quests, and damage charts. As a result, some large guilds often secretly targeted them. But it was all reciprocal. After all, William was a lousy game planner. No matter what activities or quests it was, he could create a leaderboard. Basically, other than the pay-to-win leaderboard, which William could not obtain from the game company, William had sufficient methods to obtain other leaderboards. But recently, 2 guilds had risen to prominence. Mars Strength had created the Mars Guild. The Moon is Bigger Than Earth had been created by a super-rich man whose family had mined helium-3. He had more than 200 billion yuan in asset. The name of his guild was also very strange. It was called Moon Super Circle. And there was no doubt. The Mars Guild recruited players from Mars, while the Moon Super Circle recruited players from the Moon. The 2 guilds had a very special exclusivity, and there were some minor conflicts between the players from Earth and the 2 guilds. But these were all small problems, because they were all Huaxia people. Regardless of whether they hated each other in the region or on the planet, they would always stand on the same side in a war. William stood on the walls of the fortress and looked at the groups of players coming in and out. They were scattered in all directions, and they were skillfully launching various small-scale battles. I have to say, I seem to have made a very correct decision. William laughed. He was also looking forward to the war. He wanted to let his foreign friends who had not experienced war experience the Chinese players' Sun Tzu's art of war and the super battle tactics that they had honed for a long time. Because, according to normal circumstances, there was usually only one large-scale war mission in each country. In the early stages, most of the missions were scattered exploration missions. Only at the end would a super battle be launched. But the 10-year bloody war was very different. He did not fight once, twice, thrice. He kept fighting. For 10 years. With the participation of the players, it might reduce the duration of the 10-year bloody war. But no matter what, after experiencing this war with the Orc Empire, William believed that most of the Huaxia players would undergo a lot of changes in this war. And under the premise that the epic bosses could attack at any time, the Dawn army changed its strategic direction. Their enemy was not the Orc Empire for the time being. Instead, it was the countless devil's dens in the extreme north. After all, it was impossible for the Dawn army to be idle. Regardless of whether the NPCs killed NPCs or players, they could obtain experience points and become stronger. The NPC legions became stronger through killing. War was a terrible thing that made the strong stronger and the weak die. With this opportunity, of course, William planned to let the advanced legions become Grandmaster legions by killing dark creatures. He wanted the intermediate legions to become advanced legions. As for the players, they were the main force of the Fourth Corps. Anyway, they would not die. They could do whatever they wanted. Don't be afraid of losing experience points. Prince William's experience reward was very high. Don't be afraid of losing equipment. Don't be afraid of loans at a high price until the game server was shut down. Don't you dare to not pay back the money? TSK, you really don't know who ruled the world of gods. Time gradually passed. This war had lasted for more than 2 months. The human legions of the Frost Empire had also paid a price to occupy 2 military fortresses. All kinds of wars were in full swing. As the humans and elves were allies, William also lent some players to the Frost Empire to let them have a taste of the war. At this moment, in a tall building in the fortress, William was playing mahjong with Olaf, Annie, and Diablo, who had come to seek refuge with him. Don't ask why there was mahjong. It was all created by the players. His Royal Highness had seized the opportunity to expand it. After the City of Dawn promoted mahjong, it became a very attractive way of playing in the legendary continent. At the same time, the poker and mission card games that the players created when they were bored were all copied by Prince William. Many NPCs were addicted to it and could not extricate themselves. The players could only be helpless against William's shameless methods. But many players also expressed that Prince William was indeed Prince William. His shameless copying was not only very handsome, but it was also very valuable. As expected of a protagonist NPC. Palm, go to the court. Put it down. William took out 2 pairs of chickens and pointed at Diablo, who wanted to eat 2 or 3 chickens. Diablo looked indifferent. So what if you go to the court? Do you want to go to heaven? I have never seen you play mahjong before. Sure enough, after William got back Yawn Chicken, when he hit the 9th chicken, Yawn Chicken, Annie giggled and pushed the mahjong tiles away. I got burned again. I'm sorry. Pay up. His cards are black. Why should we pay up? Yes. Didn't you say that whoever orders the firecrackers will pay? Diablo shouted again. They had to play mahjong with William, so they had to pay for the firecrackers themselves. Otherwise, they could not afford William's idea. William expressionlessly took out 300 magical stones. Annie waved her hand and kept all the stones. I'm not playing anymore. I'm losing all day. What mahjong? Burn Cinder, play for me. William stood up and was about to run. He had wanted to scam Olaf, the newbie, for some money, but Annie insisted on coming. They had only played 3 rounds of mahjong, and he had lost more than 3,000 magical stones. Who could accept this? Burn Cinder shrugged and said, We're playing cards too. The strength of the City of Dawn in the legendary card group is too weak. Legendary cards. They were the character cards of the legendary continent. From sages to advanced NPCs, all the NPCs with a name were thrown into it by William. The front of the card had handsome portraits of the characters, as well as some signature skills and factions. The cards could restrain each other. It was the same for the skills. But there was only one skill for the advanced cards. There were 2 Grandmaster cards, 3 Epic cards, 4 Legendary cards, and 5 Sage cards. William was smart enough to write down 6 skills for the Supreme Pontiff of Light. Hence, the Supreme Pontiff of Light applauded. He even invited all the temple staff to play the card. At that time, this set of legendary cards had gained quite a bit of fame. But many legendary and epic bosses were unhappy with the City of Dawn. They felt that the City of Dawn was not qualified to create such card. William drew the World Tree on the back of the card. It seemed to represent the interests of the elves, so there were not many pirated copies. But no matter what, William had brought many interesting things to the legendary continent. His influence continued to spread through the various ways of playing the game. Basically, you could say, in the legendary continent, you could not have heard of the Blackleaf Elves, but you had to know the inventor of mahjong, poker, and legendary cards. It was because of this person. He had given you, a group of commoners who had no entertainment, a rich source of spiritual nourishment. The players who had been plagiarized had nothing to say. The players who had created the character cards had been given a banner and an epic equipment by William. They had been complaining about William's shameless behavior on the forum. William pursed his lips at Burned Cinder's words. It's true that the City of Dawn is very weak. But didn't you realize that the City of Dawn has the most cards regardless of whether they draw 10 or 100 cards? Do you want to play? Let's remember our names first. This was the hidden influence of William. William even obtained 1 legend point for this. The name was also very interesting. The Great Inventor of the Lord of Dawn. Chapter 404. In the 3rd month, the Dragonblood Legion's mission completion rate had reached 93%. They were only 7% away from the Invincible Legion buff. But the Orc Empire had also sensed a legion sweeping through the Devil's Denver. They had eliminated many Grandmaster experts to act as scouts in an attempt to find this super legion that was roaming around. That was why William had been very careful recently. He didn't even dare to go see the Dragonblood Legion. Everything was up to Annie and the Unicorn. He was afraid that because of him, the entire Legion's luck value would drop, causing all their efforts to be wasted. But even so, the Dragonblood Legion had almost fallen into danger many times. If Annie's 6th sense hadn't been sharp enough, allowing her to narrowly avoid them, the Dragonblood Legion would have been able to escape without a problem. But escaping meant that they had lost, and they would no longer have the chance to obtain the Invincible Legion buff. So William decided to take the risk and use himself as bait. He wanted to stir up some trouble and divert the Orc Empire's attention to him. On the 3rd day of the 3rd month of the 10-year bloody war, the sky was dark. There was no wind, no snow, and no clouds. 3 full moons hung high in the night sky, and a sky full of stars decorated it. It was like a painting in the sky. The bright moonlight shrouded the extreme north, and it was as bright as day. It was not a good time to attack the city. However, even if there was no wind or snow, many people would still want to stay in a warm bed in the far north in November. Of course, it would be best if there was a girl who warmed their beds. But the majority of people were single. Whether it was spring, snow, autumn, or winter, no matter what season it was, they could only sleep by themselves. Even if it was during a festival in March, Let's not talk about being single. The key was that in November, the temperature in the far north could reach -60 degrees Celsius after dark. It was really like peeing out, and the pee would be frozen, but many people sighed. Fortunately, they had peed quickly. Otherwise, their little brother would have turned into a popsicle. Hiss, swish, swish, swish. After William shook his second brother, he grinned and hurriedly pulled up his pants. Then, he used the heating spell on his crotch. He was not being unreasonable. He was afraid that his little brother would freeze, and he would not be able to use it when he was an adult. He did not dare to use his battle energy shield, not because he was afraid of urinating in the shield, however, even though the sky wasn't dark, his thunder shield was still like a torch. Even if it was 10,000 meters away, he could still see it clearly. An epic-ranked big shot would sense his aura and might even rush over to kill him. So William had once said that besides assassins with dark attributes, assassins with other attributes were the creed of warriors. The higher the level, the more obvious this situation was. At the moment, he was wearing a snow-white polar suit. He was in the north of the orc stronghold, more than 60,000 meters away. William's pupils contracted slightly. The orc stronghold, which was tens of thousands of meters away, instantly magnified in his eyes. This group of orcs isn't strong enough to defend the northern city wall. But then again, if a battle were to break out, the orc reinforcements from the Black Great Wall would arrive, and the warriors attacking from the northern city wall would definitely be caught in a pincer attack. The prince stroked his handsome chin as he pondered. There were a total of 120,000 soldiers stationed at the orc stronghold. There were 2 epic bosses, more than 1,000 grandmaster professionals, 50,000 advanced soldiers, and the rest were intermediate soldiers. The current orc stronghold was not something that the City of Dawn could handle, unless he used all the trump cards of the City of Dawn and called all the epic bosses over. But the handsome young man decided to start his old business again. Steal, bah! It was to take. The Orc Empire definitely has countless space rings. I don't even need to think about the precious strategic resources. But what about the ordinary resources? Could it be that this thing is always in the hands of an epic-ranked big shot and will be distributed to every orc when the war starts? Of course that's impossible. William narrowed his eyes. Most of the military equipment, rations, and other resources will be piled up in the warehouse. There will be specialized logistics teams to take care of these things. It's the same for the City of Dawn and the elves. If the epic bosses are busy with these things every day, they will die of exhaustion. What are the bosses for? Of course, it's for enjoyment. If there's work, the secretary will do it. If there's nothing else. William took a deep breath. He looked at the surrounding snowy ground and started to dig. Swish, swish, swish. He was very fast. In just a short while, he had dug more than 20 meters underground. What? Did he say that the frozen ground was not easy to dig? Then he had underestimated Boss Wang's left hand of God. Even if it was not soil, he could even dig through magical metals. Simple words. Without the body of a god, one should never steal. It was a sure death. This also depended on one's endowment. With a god's body, one would have a license. Only with a license could one carry out such righteous acts. 1 minute. 1,000 meters. 3 minutes. 3,000 meters. It did not take long for William to dig through a tunnel that was only 60,000 meters deep. He was sure that he had arrived at the underground of the orc stronghold. Just as he was about to go up and explore the way, he suddenly looked at the frozen ground on his left and inhaled a breath of cold air. He hurriedly crushed an aura concealment scroll. It was not that he saw people. He suddenly discovered that there was something wrong with this military fortress. There was a cellar beside him. It had to be known. The 5 fortresses that he had occupied back then had already been searched more than 10 times. Other than a few underground caves, they had not found any cellars at all. The prince sensed that there was no one in the cellar. He used his left hand to dig a hole. When he put his head in, his eyes suddenly lit up. Tsk. Good stuff. It's a warm cellar? William did not hesitate. He enlarged the hole and quickly went in. At the same time, he blocked the hole that he had come in from. He glanced at the underground warm cellar. The marks on the walls were freshly dug. The things in the warm cellar were definitely not equipment or food. These 2 things were not afraid of the cold. They were only afraid of heat. But what could be in the warm cellar? Wine, vegetables, and fruit. It was very simple. There were only these few things. The warm cellar was not very big. It was only about 80 square meters. Therefore, there were not many resources stored here. Who were these things for? Of course, it was for the grandmasters and epic professionals of the Orc Empire. Some advanced professionals who performed well could often share some of the food in the warm cellar. What was in the cold cellar? Other than meat, there was meat. Most of the food was fish. Orcs did not only eat meat. They also needed to supplement with other vitamins. Otherwise, they would become deformed sooner or later. Even the Orc tribes understood this principle, let alone the Orc Empire. Should I take it or poison it? William thought for a while and decided to take all of it. In this northern land, the importance of food was self-evident. Even though the quality of the vegetables and wine was not good, they were definitely not dirty. Humans and elves could also use them, because these were high-end ingredients for grandmasters and epic orcs. Ordinary orcs could only eat these things during the warm season. Other than fish, they would eat meat in the winter. If William poisoned the food, he would not be able to take other food and military supplies. After all, if he took the food, he would definitely attract attention. Therefore, William glanced at the 6 space rings on his hand. The space was not big. They were all 200 by 200 by 200. The only special feature was that there were many rings. Then, he became a happy porter. Swish, 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 swish. After a song, all the wine, vegetables, and fruits in the warm cellar were taken away. Only a constant temperature magical formation was left. He glanced at the door of the warm cellar. It was around 12 o'clock in the morning. According to logic, normal people would be either sleeping or meditating. But some orc grandmasters might suddenly drink, even if this fortress was the front line of the war. Therefore, he placed a magical formation alarm at the door of the warm cellar. If someone opened the door, he would be alerted. After all, he was now transporting supplies under the watchful eyes of 2 epic experts. It was best to be careful. Subsequently, William returned the way he came. Using his soul perception, he found a place with no one. He dug a tunnel and poked his head out. His eyes scanned the surroundings. Half a second, after ascertaining his position, he sank down again. Meanwhile, in a bright and warm house, a pale orc and a devil were drinking and eating meat. The pale orc, who was 2-3 meters tall, poured some wine and raised his eyebrows. "Come in, my lord." An advanced orc immediately entered the house. "You may leave." But the other epic devil waved his hand and watched the orc leave. He took out the good wine that he had kept for many years and looked at the orc's gaze. He laughed. "I know that you're always thinking about my bottles of wine, but you still pretended to ask someone to fetch wine from the cellar. Who are you looking down on? You fool! If you weren't so stingy, would I have used such a method?" The pale orc licked his lips and picked up the wine. He was about to take a sip, but the devil suddenly narrowed his eyes and said, "This wine is made from the dragon crystal of the giant frost dragon. Someone asked me for a glass of wine. Do you know what I asked for?" The tall pale orc laughed coldly. He glanced at the devil who was not as tall as him and said, "It's just a butt. What can you do about it? You're brave. Come, let's not go home until we're drunk. But at least 2 bottles of wine. 2 bottles it is. It's spicy and strong enough." William did not know that the 2 epic experts were in a romantic relationship. He could only continue digging in the cold night. Very soon, he arrived at the ordnance warehouse. When he saw the goods that were tens of meters tall and had an area of more than 500 square meters, he suddenly swallowed hard. It was no wonder that the orc fortress was so difficult to conquer. Even a war of attrition was no longer effective. The warehouse was filled to the brim by the orcs. William's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at the time and thought about his space ring. If there are no accidents, I can move at least 2 to 3 fortress goods in one night. Let's go! Heavy crossbows, take them away. Arrows, take them away. Catapult accessories. They don't match. But I can take them away first before destroying them. Oh, cannons and shells. Good stuff. Take them away, take them away. Chapter 405. There was no need to move all the items in the ordnance warehouse. William only needed to take the most important items: crossbows, cannons, armor, weapons, and all kinds of accessories. In just 10 minutes, he had filled a space ring. But there are still too many items left. William glanced at the remaining supplies in the military warehouse. His eyes suddenly lit up. He used the left hand of God to dig 9 holes at the door of the warehouse. Then, he carefully took out 9 magical crystals and made them into a magic formation. In other words, there were 8 magical crystals on the door and 1 on the wall. It was obvious. This was definitely not a magic formation that could absorb magic. If someone pushed open the door, the connection between the magical crystals would be broken, and the magic formation would be destroyed. The explosive power of the 9 magical crystals was enough to blow up the entire ordnance warehouse. William glanced at his perfect magic formation. With a diligent and righteous smile, he drilled into the hole again. Like a little mole, he quickly dug a tunnel and arrived at the bottom of the neighboring food warehouse. His movements were very light and silent. The left hand of God dealt with the magical metals like a knife cutting tofu. How many people could hear the sound of a knife cutting tofu? It was obvious that no matter how many orcs were guarding the door, William had used the aura concealment scroll. When he entered from underground, as long as he was careful, he would not cause any commotion. Soon, he arrived at the neighboring food warehouse that was 300 meters away. When he was about to dig upwards, he used his soul perception to detect 2 orcs. He strained his ears and faintly heard the sounds of the orcs eating heartily. As they ate, they muttered, "It's delicious." They were 2 advanced orc guards who were responsible for guarding the food warehouse. As for this kind of situation, it was obviously very normal. It was also hard to guard against embezzlement, but as long as too many resources were not lost, the higher-ups would usually not care. For example, William's group of butchers. Who knew how much magical beast meat they had secretly eaten? But the 2 orcs seemed to be eating until dawn. It was a little too much. William waited for a while. Just when he was about to launch a sneak attack. While eating, an orc suddenly muttered, "Have you heard? The son of a dark overlord from the dark world is coming to our orc empire." "Tsk, I already knew that. Are you talking about the son of Sidi Sirag?" "Yes, a powerful grandmaster demon. I also heard that he will bring many demons to support our orc empire to deal with the alliance of humans and elves." Another orc suddenly sneered. "I don't know if they will send reinforcements or not, but I do know that we unlucky bastards in the fortress will definitely die." As soon as the words left his mouth, the 2 beastmen were a little sad. The beastmen weren't very intelligent, but everyone knew that the Black Great Wall was the Empire's strongest defense. This group of fellows in the fortress were cannon fodder that existed to stall for time. However, the 2 of them didn't think too much about it. They were going to die anyway. If they didn't eat more, wouldn't it be a waste of their lives? One of them continued, "I also heard something interesting. That Sirag didn't go to the Empire with the other demons. He seems to be planning to kill the White Dragon in the Northwest Mountains. When he returns, he will give the White Dragon to his father as a gift." "How do you know?" "My brother-in-law's brother's 3rd cousin. He is our commander's personal guard." When the 2 commanders were chatting, he heard it. "Impressive. Don't tell anyone about this. I haven't told many people." "True, brother. Cheers. A toast to you." The conversation between the 2 orcs made William fall into deep thought. The son of a legendary devil lord. He had led a team to kill one in the Misty Valley. That big boss looked extremely ferocious, but it didn't even have a chance to retaliate. How many devil lords were there in the dark world? Oh, we are talking about the great devil lords. There were 72 of them. They were commonly known as the 72 devil gods. These guys were all powerful legendary demon overlords, and ordinary legendary demons couldn't compare to them at all, because some rumors indicated that they had the bloodline of devil gods. Their power was unfathomable. Ordinary sages would have to waste a lot of time and tricks to kill them. The top 10 had already become sages. They were commonly known as the Lords of Darkness. As for Sidi, who was mentioned by the two orcs, he was ranked 12th among the 72 devils and gods. He was a super devil lord who was half a step into the sage state. His power was not to be underestimated. Sidi? Is he going to slay a dragon? William kept thinking. Soon, he found some memories of Sidi. Sidi was a devil who often appeared in the gods' continent. He was the 33rd son of Sidi. His power was temporarily at the Grandmaster level. He liked to fight alone to show off his bravery. He often went against the Viscount of Darkness. Not only did he get beaten up 365 times, but his legendary father also beat him many times with a small leather whip. His father despised him for always causing trouble. But he was very talented. Among the devils of the same level, he was considered a top expert. The more William thought about it, the more he touched the fantasy darkness rough stone in his hand. His handsome big eyes suddenly turned. He didn't hesitate anymore. He discovered that the two orcs were still eating and drinking, so he sneaked up to them. Swish, swish. A thunder blade and a sword of curses attacked at the same time. When the two heads and the wine bottle fell to the ground, they suddenly disappeared in midair. They didn't cause any commotion. William glanced at the food on the ground. He couldn't help but smack his lip. "Aren't you afraid of having diarrhea by eating frozen fish?" Next, he raised his head and looked at the extremely cold food warehouse. There was enough food for 100,000 orcs to eat for at least 3 months. Most of it was meat and fish. In the extreme north, there were tens of millions of orcs in the Orc Empire. They definitely couldn't rely on hunting to sustain their food consumption. As for the meat, William glanced at it and couldn't help but feel disgusted. Eyeless beasts. They were a group of small monsters with very long hair but no eyes. They were one of the exclusive foods of the orcs. The eyeless beasts in the extreme north lived in ice caves. They usually fed on plants and feces. They were a delicacy for many carnivores. Because of their fast reproduction rate, the Orc Empire also raised them. In fact, there were eyeless beasts in the south, but the southern eyeless beasts were even more disgusting. They had no hair and lived in caves. They either ate bat feces or rotten trees and weeds to survive. In short, these eyeless beasts were a group of very disgusting small monsters. But no matter what, these creatures that were less than 1 meter in length could provide a lot of protein for the orcs, so that they could have the strength to work and fight. But even so, William didn't intend to leave the frozen eyeless beasts to the orcs. After all, no matter how many parasites there were on the eyeless beasts, no matter how disgusting the meat was, humans and elves wouldn't eat it. But they could be fed to magical beasts. In particular, there was no problem with the fish. Both humans and elves could eat it. William's hand speed was very fast. In a mere 15 minutes, he moved everything in the entire food warehouse. Next, he returned the way he came. When he left the orc fortress, he turned and dug in the southwest direction. When he was more than 30,000 meters away from the fortress, he emerged from the ground while facing the moonlight. In the northwest glacial mountain range, you can see the boundless ice sea. The highest mountain peak is 23,000 meters. There are many giant frost dragons living in that mountain range. Besides being close to the Black Great Wall, it's also connected to the Grand Duchy of the North. William raised his eyebrows. That location was more than 300 kilometers away. It wasn't too far. But Silag wants to slay a dragon, and he even plans to slay a dragon by himself. He's only a Grandmaster now, which means that he wants to deal with a Grandmaster Frost Dragon. It seems that he really wants to become a dragon slayer. The prince pondered for a while, then quickly left the place. He didn't intend to go to the second orc fortress. Now, William only wanted to kill Silag. If he could kill him, he could use the rough dreamy darkness stone to transform into Silag and create some trouble in the Orc Empire. Of course, I can't be too reckless. Going to meet the Orc Sage would undoubtedly be courting death. But I can still lead the Devil Army to death. William didn't think too much. He didn't know how many devils Silag would bring. But if he could kill all of them in one wave, even a devil lord like Sidi would feel a little heartache. After all, they weren't dark creatures. The Devil Army was the main force of the Dark World. When he was more than 60,000 meters away from the Orc Fortress, he transformed into a bolt of lightning and soared into the sky. Facing the 3 full moons, he traveled at lightning speed. The people in the Orc Fortress saw him, but they didn't pay much attention to him. He was too far away. Who knew if he was an orc or a human? It was more than 300 kilometers. It would only take him 30 minutes to reach the Orc Fortress. When he saw the endless snow-capped mountains, he became cautious. Dragon roars reverberated in the sky. No one knew how many giant frost dragons there were in the extreme north. Although there weren't any sages, there were many legendary dragons. Because this mountain range in the northwest was the home of the white dragons in the legendary continent. The reason why sage dragons didn't exist was that the dragon race had a legendary Nibelungen. It was called the Dragon Valley. The dragon clan of the entire God's continent, and most of the Sage Realm giant dragons, lived there. When William approached a snowy mountain that was more than 3,000 meters high, he landed lightly on the snowy ground. He dug a hole and hid himself inside. He took out a crystal ball from his space ring and injected magic into it. A 3-dimensional map of the 3 lands appeared in front of him. It was a panoramic map of the entire extreme north. Could be zoomed in and out. It looked like a satellite map. It was very cool. All the terrain, landforms, buildings, and even the big and small towns of the Orc Empire were marked on it. Without a doubt, this was the super map that the Elven Queen had made. It was also one of the rewards for the victor of the Vanguard. When he zoomed in on the northwest glacier mountains, he saw a lot of red dots densely packed together. William inhaled a breath of cold air. Gosh, there are more than 6,000 giant ice dragons in this place, and there are no less than 10 legendary giant dragons. Why did Silag have to come here to kill the dragons? And there are so many Grandmaster dragons. I know which one you want to kill. Rely on luck. William gulped. If he waited here, the possibility of encountering Sidi would be 0. Then why don't? William took out the 2 small statues of the goddess of luck and the goddess of misfortune. Puff. There was a crisp sound. The goddess of misfortune was sacrificed to the heavens. William waited for a long time. Ding dong. Prompt. You have been cursed by the goddess of misfortune. Your luck has decreased by 100 points. The curse will last for 1 year. Ding dong. Prompt. You have been blessed by the goddess of luck. Your luck has increased by 101 points. The curse will last for 1 year and 1 day. Next. Ding dong sounds continued. Chapter 406. The ding dong sounds did not stop. The 2 goddesses were jealous of the most handsome man in the universe for an hour. The prince did not want to see his fans fight over him, so he turned off the notifications. He did it so that he would not be upset. After all, the goddess of luck did not lift her skirt. Even if he smashed the statue of the goddess of misfortune in front of her, she only gave him 1 point of luck. What was the use of the goddess of luck? At that time, William wanted to sacrifice the statue of the goddess of luck. However, to prevent the 2 goddesses from killing him at the same time and cursing him for decades, he decided not to do so. A handsome man would not fight with a woman. Unless he became an adult. William raised his head and looked at the snowy mountain that was more than 3,000 meters tall. With the eye of thunder, he easily found a cave. Or rather, in this continuous glacial mountain range, there was a huge ice cave near the peak of each mountain. The stronger the giant frost dragon, the higher the mountain that it lived on. Under normal circumstances, no one would come back to slay a legendary great dragon, unless they had the ability to kill in one blow or had various concealment methods. The prince did not believe that the Grandmaster Devil of Silag had the ability to kill a great dragon of the same level. However, he had two choices. In this glacial mountain range, the mountain in the middle was the highest. The peaks on the northwest and two sides gradually became flat. In other words, he wanted to choose one of the peaks on the northwest and north side. He wanted to take a gamble on where that guy would go. He glanced at his continuously jumping luck point. Kept jumping, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll use the 2 points of luck to gamble. William took out a gold coin from the City of Dawn. The City of Dawn was on the front, and the World Tree was on the back. The front went to the south, and the back went to the north. His luck points jumped to the 2 points position. Throw. The gold coin flew into the air. Swish. The gold coin fell into the snow. William narrowed his eyes and stretched out his hand to take the gold coin that was standing upright in the snow. This method was not reliable. Even the front and back sides of the gold coins were facing east and west respectively. What the F***ck? Let's go to the north. Don't gamble on your luck. According to the situation, the north is closer to the Black Great Wall. If this devil isn't sick, he definitely won't go to the snowy peaks of the Grand Duchy of the North to slay a dragon. William grinned and quickly ran towards the mountains in the north. He did not use his battle aura and only used the aura concealment scroll. Even if he made some noise while running, he was just an animal to some of the more sensitive giant dragons. He posed no threat to them. In particular, giant dragons were too ambitious. Other than the exceedingly outstanding white dragons, they were basically not very sharp. This group of fat frost otakus spent most of their time sleeping in the ice cave. Another hour passed. William, who was dressed in a polar suit, slowly climbed up a snowy peak with a dragon cave. He did not know if there were any frosty fat boys inside. He just wanted to choose the best spot so that he could have a panoramic view of all the snowy peaks of the Grandmaster giant dragons. As he dug a hole and buried himself in the snow, only his eyes were exposed. He looked up suddenly. Aurora. The dazzling aurora formed a huge arc, like a canopy covering the entire northernmost land. Most of the aurora was green, but the edges were colorful. Theoretically, the aurora was produced when the solar storm collided with the magnetic fields of the North and South Poles. As for the formation of the aurora in the world of gods, he was a little puzzled, because he discovered that when the aurora came out, the density of magic in the extreme north increased rapidly. In a short period of time, the density of various elemental magic increased by more than 10 times. William was a little stunned. Then he saw some figures rising from the ground and rushing towards the sky with rumbling thunder. There were orcs, humans, elves, and even giant dragons. In a short period of time, they flew to the sky where the aurora was. They used various methods to tear the originally complete aurora into pieces. Devouring. William swallowed hard. This group of legendary and epic bosses were devouring the magic produced by the aurora. How exaggerated is the density of the magic at the location of the aurora? Dozens of times? Hundreds of times? William stared blankly for a long time. This group of bosses did not start fighting. The orcs, humans, elves, and giant dragons each occupied a spot. But even this group of legendary and epic bosses needed a lot of time to completely devour such a large patch of aurora. Just as William lowered his head and sighed, he suddenly discovered a figure stealthily creeping up from the bottom of the snowy mountain. He had no wings. There was a ball of blue flames in the middle of the horns on his head. He was very handsome. When people saw him, they would feel that he was a succubus. But this was normal. The legendary Devil Lord, Sidi, possessed a type of blue flames that could make men and women fall in love and burn with lust. That was to say, pa. The kind that would kill them. It was a very evil ability. So even though Sidi did not have the qualities of a sage, he had inherited Sidi's blue flames. This was also the reason why he dared to provoke the Viscount of Darkness. He was always beaten up but not killed. Hence, William looked at Sidi from the corner of his eye as he chose the mountain peak where he was hiding. Sidi did not make any defensive measures and swaggered into the dragon's lair. Logically speaking, it was a dragon's lair, but the words lair and cave would be blocked. William was a little curious. Why was Sidi so arrogant? So he slowly climbed down and followed Sidi like a fanatic. Their footsteps were very slow. In this extremely quiet cave, they did not make a single sound. Then, Sidi set up many barriers behind him. William laughed and dug a hole to follow him. Time passed quickly. As the two continued to go deeper into the snowy mountain that had been hollowed out, the roars of the huge dragons could be heard continuously. It was the roars of two huge dragons. It was actually two frost-fat dragons mating. William wanted to rush out and stop them. He wanted to shout, "You are still in your youth. Mating is a taboo. You won't be able to lay eggs." But he also understood why Silag would choose this place. Sidi could detect the mating aura of any race. He saw Sidi carefully crouching like a thief. He hid behind an icicle and slowly injected 2 balls of blue flames into the bodies of the 2 dragons. At that moment, the 2 frost-fat dragons felt that something was wrong. They felt something in their bodies being ignited. The blue flames above Sidi's head were the fire of lust. It was like pouring a bucket of oil on a fire. The 2 young huge dragons who had tasted the forbidden fruit became even crazier. Continuous rumbling sounds could be heard. The 2 frost-fat dragons, who were more than 20 meters long, were mating. If not for the fact that the ice in the cave was formed by the dragon's breath, the cave would have collapsed. Time continued to pass. Sidi had no intention of attacking. William did not dare to appear. They watched the 2 crazy huge dragons fight for more than 2 hours. They were bleeding, but it was not over. The 2 huge dragons' movements were a little slow. Sidi took out 2 balls of flames and sent them over. Hence, the 2 frost-fat dragons were in trouble. Their golden eyes were wide open, and there was a trace of fear in their eyes. But they could not stop themselves. Another 3 hours passed. The sky was bright outside. At this moment, suddenly, William heard a crisp sound when he saw the bloody thing suddenly break. He could not help but inhale a mouthful of cold air. It was very painful. His Royal Highness had thought that this would be the end. But, even if it was broken, the 2 dragons continued to howl and continue their previous actions. Another hour passed. The 2 dragons could not take it anymore. They looked at each other and bit each other's neck. Crack, crack. Dragon scales kept falling off. Fresh blood flowed down like a pillar. Just like that, the 2 frost-fat beasts bit each other's neck, until their necks were bitten off. Boom. The 2 huge creatures fell to the ground and died tragically in each other's mouth. Only then did Sirag walk out and retract the blue flames within the 2 dragons, moaning in extreme pleasure. In the next second, the fire of lust above his head disappeared. At the same time, a ghost arrow traversed the space and penetrated the ice pillar. It hit the vigilant Sidi. D***mn. Just as he finished speaking, William traversed the space and appeared in front of Sidi. The left hand of the Thunder God emitted a ball of violent lightning as he punched Sidi's face. Sidi's face instantly collapsed, and his body slammed into the ice wall like a cannonball, forming a human-shaped hole. William did not dare to let Sidi attack. He extended his hand of soul and grabbed Sidi from the wall. The sword of Hegni slashed upwards, releasing a destructive sword energy. Bang! There was another loud sound. Sidi was forced to retreat again. His skin fell off, and he was embedded in the wall like a zombie. But William was in front of him again. Sidi spat out a mouthful of blood, and countless flames spewed out from his mouth. It was the incarnation of the sacred thunder. William dodged the fire of lust, and used the thunder slash. The sword energy sliced through the ice wall like tofu. Sidi barely dodged it, but there was a cracking sound. His right arm, waist, and abdomen were chopped off quite a bit of flesh. Sidi's health was low, and he was about to die. His horns burned with the fire of lust again. He roared angrily. In the next moment, the blue flames rapidly expanded. From a small flame, they became a torch. Finally, they spread out and covered a radius of a few hundred meters. In that second, William had activated the Holy Light Shield and Battle Energy Shield. But the fire of lust had an even more exaggerated judgment. It passed through the two shields and rushed into Sidi's body. William stopped in his tracks. The corners of Sidi's lips curled up. He looked at William's blood-red eyes. Then, he looked at his surroundings and at his severely injured body. What's the matter? Why are you looking at me? Gosh, I can't dispel this. Just as Sidi was about to shout his lungs out. What was even more unbelievable was that, in less than 2 seconds, the blood-red color in William's eyes faded completely. He glanced at the information panel. Fire of lust and protection of the Holy Spirit, diamond body, and heart of justice in progress. Fire of lust in effect. Fire of lust in effect. Fire of lust in effect halved. The creature is underage. This time, Silag was dumbfounded. The current situation was even more frightening than before. This was the first time he discovered that his flames of lust had failed. Even though the negative effects on William were halved, his killing intent increased. He walked toward Sidi, who was shouting for him not to come over. You dare to trick me? You're finished. Pom. Don't fight. I didn't trick you. You tricked me. Don't talk nonsense. Pom. Chapter 407. He had gained a lot in one night. The armory, the food storage, 2 frost fat boys, and a demon. The handsome prince was originally quite happy. After killing Silag, he planned to use the primordial dream darkness stone to turn into Silag and trap the demon army. In the end, ding dong. Hint: you've killed Sun Sidi, you've been cursed by the devil, soul tracking. Hint: Sidi's affection towards you decreased by 20,000 points. Prompt: affinity between you and the Orc Empire has decreased by 3,000 points. Hint: legendary demon Lord Sidi will use all available resources to hunt you down. So that's how it is. No wonder the Viscount of Darkness only dared to beat him up. He didn't dare to kill him. William had a look of sudden realization. He then ran out of the lair with a dark expression. The great black wall of the north. The Orc stronghold on the east side. In one of the demon dens in the south. Countless demons, beastmen, and demons flew into the sky, all rushing towards his position. The Ice Frost Empire and the elves all witnessed this scene. They were all ready for battle, thinking that the other party was going to counterattack. But William was dumbfounded. The people who were after him were like a dragnet. There were advanced masters, grand masters, and epic masters. The prince's palms were sweaty, but he did not panic at all. That was because Sidi had issued a kill order for his son. Then no one in the Dragon Blood Legion would care about him. Now, this group of people was attracted. As long as he persisted, the Dragon Blood Legion's invincible buff would definitely be obtained. When the time came, Jean Long S buff, Chain of Life S buff, 100 Battles S buff, the 3 super army buffs stacked together. His army was invincible. F***CK, let's go all out. He poured his chi into his palm. Swoosh. A huge lightning hand that was dozens of meters long appeared in the air. He raised his middle finger. He crooked his finger again. Charge! The devils, orcs, and devils were infuriated. With a series of sonic booms, tens of epic experts charged towards William. The prince turned around and ran. In less than 2 seconds, he entered the deepest part of the ice cave. Immediately after, rumble. Half of the snowy mountain was crushed by several epic-level experts, and countless boulders and ice and snow disappeared in the air. William, who was half buried, was discovered. Well, it was not that he was going to die. He had underestimated the decisiveness of this group of people, and their digging speed was a little slow. Domain. When William saw that the epic devil was about to use his domain, he used his space magic staff to teleport. You can stay in the space tunnel for a maximum of 30 seconds with a 3-minute cooldown. The next second, his figure disappeared in front of many experts. Subsequently, everyone saw him run to the entrance of another dragon nest, and they immediately followed him. The epic dragon's aura was clearly visible, but he couldn't care less now. Dozens of epic experts attacked at the same time. Rumble. A large piece of a snow mountain that was more than 8,000 meters high was forcibly dug out. One of the frost dragons also sensed an aura of the same level, but he didn't want to pay attention to it. After all, he was sleeping soundly. As a result, there was a loud bang. Earthquake, earthquake. He closed his eyes and roared. But when he opened his eyes, Fatty glanced around. Well, this should be his home? However, his old house was forcibly demolished. There was a problem. His house didn't have the word demolished written on it. Besides the place where he was lying, the other places had been flattened. It had changed from an enclosed space to an open-air mansion. This snow mountain was like a big cake that had been forcefully dug out from the side. Fatty was furious. He was about to attack, but he saw that there were more and more epic orcs, devils, and devils. There were 30 of them blocking the entrance of his house. What was going on? Was it a group fight? But they weren't looking at him. In that case, he had to bear with it. Fatty silently clenched his small fist. He decided to sleep for a while more. He was probably dreaming. That lad is inside the ice mountain. If not for the Lord's soul lock on him, we wouldn't have been able to find him, an epic devil said. What about you, White Dragon? Do you want to take the opportunity? A devil spoke. He made a throat-slitting gesture. An epic devil gritted his teeth and said, "Don't bother about him. Lord Seedy doesn't want to cause trouble. He only wants to kill that lad. If we don't kill the dragons, they won't dare to attack us." Some legendary great dragons had noticed this place, but they did not understand why the Orc Empire had sent so many experts. They did not dare to act rashly. After all, the legendary White Dragon. He was also a white dragon. The pursuers continued to tear down the mountain. William continued to dig. As a grandmaster, if he went all out, his digging speed would be unimaginable. Thor's left hand was like an excavator equipped with nuclear power. Not only was it so fast that smoke was coming out of it, but its hand also turned into a phantom, diving down at a speed of 10 meters per second. The frozen soil and ice above its head were destroyed piece by piece. Meanwhile, a few legendary experts from the Orc Empire were tempted by Seedy's bounty and wanted to attack. But when the Frost Empire and the elves saw this, they understood what was going on. They did not care who the orcs were chasing. They just had to stop them. They had to make things difficult for their enemies. In a short period of time, more than 10 legendary experts faced off in the sky. They did not dare to act rashly. After all, if the legendary experts fought, it might cause an all-out war. Why did William not look for help? These B***stards had used a barrier to block his transmission scrolls. He did not even have a chance to ask for help. He only hoped that the elves could use their brains and understand the truth. That was, other than him, no one else would cause such a big problem. William dug the mountain while a group of epic experts destroyed the mountain behind him. Every time William felt that he could not hold on any longer. Once he used a teleportation scroll, he could teleport more than 10 kilometers. He would continue to dig before the pursuers arrived. His current goal was to delay for as long as possible. William did not have many teleportation scrolls. After killing the fat frost otaku in the extreme north, he had used up all his teleportation scrolls. He had asked Moses for 13 more teleportation scrolls. He did not dare to move to the east. He was afraid that some space enchanter would lock the space and make him stuck in the space tunnel. If that happened, he would be dead meat. So he only dared to use the teleportation scrolls in this stretch of glacial mountains. Over 1,000 frost dragons were woken up by the commotion. They flew into the sky and watched as a group of epic-ranked big shots chased after an invisible enemy. They kept running around in all directions. It was not at the bottom of the mountain. It was at the peak of the mountain. From time to time, they would appear in a dragon's lair. But no matter where William appeared, the epic experts would instantly raze that location to the ground. But when the epic experts destroyed the giant dragon's lair, William took the opportunity to steal many treasures. William did not dare to delay for too long. But even so, he managed to steal 7 to 8 million gold coins. It had to be said that the epic dragons were really rich. As for the legendary dragon's lair, William did not dare to go there. They did not dare to go outside either. A total of 4 epic giant dragons' lair were razed. 6 Grandmaster dragons' lair were uprooted. Icebergs disappeared into thin air. In less than half an hour, avalanches continued to occur in the glacial mountains. Violent sounds and tremors could be heard everywhere. The legendary dragons did not dare to appear. No one knew if they were really afraid or just pretending to be afraid. Half an hour of continuous pursuit. It was earth-shattering. Even the Dawn Fortress, which was hundreds of kilometers away, could feel the aura that resonated with heaven and earth. Many people were shocked. Who was fighting? Legendary experts were confronting each other in the sky, while epic experts were constantly attacking. The players were also talking about it. If it wasn't for the fact that they were too far away and the shockwaves from the battle were enough to crush them into pieces, they would have gone over to take a look. Actually, after such a huge commotion, the Snow Elf Queen, Bernice Frost, had discovered that William was escaping. The sages only needed to lift their eyes. They could see what William was doing from hundreds of kilometers away. He has many escape techniques. The hand of the Thunder God is superb. I don't know if the Thunder God should be happy or depressed. Bernice sat on her throne and watched with great interest. She already knew who William had offended. At her level, it was hard to say who he had offended. At her level, she was like a god. It was just that she had a different name. As time passed, Bernice discovered that William had fewer and fewer escape techniques. The epic experts were about to catch up to him. They wanted to help him. Swish. William disappeared. William used a skill called Space Lock. He pulled a passing Grandmaster Orc into the Space Lock. Their eyes met. The Orc was very afraid and sad. He held his weapon in his hand, and his forehead was sweating profusely. William dared to show his middle finger to countless epic experts. He did not dare to make the first move. William glanced at him and did not make a move. The space lock could last for 5 minutes. Then, his space jump would cool down, and he would be able to hold on for a while. But William knew that he could not hold on for long. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes were almost up. The Grandmaster Orc thought that William was not interested in attacking him. In the end, the space within 10,000 meters shrank. Both of them were less than half a meter apart. One punch. The Grandmaster Orc's head was hammered into a pulp. But William seemed to have forgotten something. His space lock could only allow him to create a temporary alternate dimension. He would still be at his original location. In other words, if there were no accidents. He was surrounded by a group of epic powerhouses who were waiting for him. In a short moment, William took out tens of forbidden spells. He wanted to use the sacred thunder incarnation to escape. But when he came out, he saw a group of orcs, devils, and devils surrounding him. There were thousands of Grandmaster experts, but no epic experts appeared in front of him. At the same time, Bernice whispered something in his ear. "This mountain will be your battlefield. As long as you don't leave this place, the epic experts will not attack you. You just have to persevere for 1 day and 1 night, and the devils will not participate in the 10-year blood war. William glanced at the information panel. SS mission. Fight against thousands of enemies alone. The prince understood. Cassidy wanted to kill him, while Bernice wanted to protect him. Logically speaking, if Bernice attacked, Cassidy would not stand a chance. Bernice wanted the Devil Army to retreat from the battlefield, so she decided to let William fight against this group of people for 24 hours. In other words, not only am I not causing trouble, but I have also indirectly affected the 10-year blood war? William raised his eyebrows. He was a little happy. He sensed many ferocious auras. Grandmaster experts with sage potential. There were 5 of them. Chapter 408. The speed at which William crushed the scrolls increased. As for those guys that William was dealing with, they fell to the ground like wheat being cut. Their bodies turned into banana paste, as if they had been roasted. You can't even defeat us? A terrifying aura rose from William's body. When William crushed the Thunder Scroll, he was severely injured. But he was a Thunder Element professional. Not only did he have the body of thunder, but he also used his left hand of the Thunder God to crush the scroll. When William was surrounded by thousands of muscular men, he was almost captured by them. In the end, millions of players started a thread. They were discussing why William was so reckless that he was chased by epic warriors. Some of them thought that the Lord of the City of Dawn had perished together with these guys. The eyes of the 5 top Grandmaster experts instantly became filled with terror, and they wanted to retreat to the sky. Throw the space ring down. Perhaps we can let you live for a few more hours. Could it be that His Royal Highness had cuckolded some legendary big shot with his looks alone? William's battle energy shield could only be activated for a few seconds before it was destroyed. He was like a sandbag that was continuously being beaten up by these people. The smell of chicken and KFC made the children next door want to cry. McDonald's did not pay. Don't ask. William's expression seemed to be very cowardly, and he was really cowardly in his heart. But his words were domineering. After the thunderstorm, when one of them attacked, the others did not hesitate. They attacked fiercely at the same time. There was a very important special effect. The true damage dealt to William would be reduced by 30%. Wasn't this what a villain should say before his death? His Royal Highness fought back and forth with these 10 fellows, beating them to the point where they began to doubt their lives. But they did not have enough defensive measures. Wasn't he supposed to last for 24 hours? But because of this, in that 1 second, His Royal Highness looked around and saw a group of burly, bear-like men with arms wide enough to run a horse. He swallowed hard and quickly said, "Brothers, please wait. If you have something to say, we can talk it out. There is no need to fight and kill." However, there were 2 big words written behind each of their names. Immortal Charcoal, quickly update the thread. How strong are the remaining 10 enemies? Is Prince William dead? You have to give us an explanation. However, Immortal Che Fan was no longer updating his post. Even the 5 fellows with saint aptitudes. You are not allowed to use forbidden spells. Obviously, the firepower was simply too strong. The 5 strongest people looked at each other. One of the demons also smiled lewdly. Yes, don't beat him up first. Give him a chance to speak. One day and one night, thousands of us will be enough to take turns. Don't worry. But they thought that not only would His Royal Highness die, but he might even be killed at this moment. I'm afraid that you'll be lenient. In the end. 1 sentence. Conclusion. William could only survive to the end and turn his troubles into benefits. Only then could he win everyone's cheers. No wonder the legendary demon Lord Seedy agreed to Bernice's bet. This guy didn't believe he could survive. All of them were lightning-type forbidden spells. However, there were many people who could cause trouble, but those who could bring benefits from trouble could be counted on one hand. With this kind of group battle style, I can fight with you for an entire day. But there won't be any more people on this battlefield. William, do your best. If you win this battle, you'll receive countless merits, said an elven elder. But William wouldn't say that. They were on the side of justice, and they were about to defeat this damned half-elf. But at this moment, Immortal Chariot was not a broadcaster or a professional gamer. He was a gamer who liked adventures and adventures. But the mission just now didn't have many restrictions. Everything that happened just now was all uploaded to the forum. Of course, he was discovered. But everyone's attention was on William, and the legendary elders couldn't be bothered with a middle-level chosen one. There were always accidents. There were only 10 enemies left on the battlefield. Just as William was about to dig into the ground, another legendary devil shouted in exasperation, "Don't escape from the battlefield, don't dig holes to hide, and don't use forbidden spells. If you break the rules, the devil army will increase by 300,000. He was only told to persevere for 24 hours. The Blood Hammerhand, who couldn't use his chain hammer, was the most confused. The entire world seemed to have turned into a thunder region. The hundreds of people who escaped first fell from the sky, while the others on the ground stiffened and fell to the ground. Both sides engaged in battle, and the battle reached its climax. Blood and battle energy intertwined. It was a shocking scene. That's right, throw him down and take off his equipment and clothes. Ha 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 ha. A group of muscular men surrounded Prince William and cursed him. Not all 10 of them could hit his vital point. If one of their attacks didn't deal 4,000 points of damage, it was equivalent to giving him free health points. Countless bolts of lightning, thunder, and electric arcs uncontrollably swept across a radius of a few thousand meters. Come on, hit me. Don't pity my body. Every time an enemy attacked him, he could recover 20% of the damage dealt and 2% of his maximum health points. The battle was going on. You can't use the forbidden spells of an enchanter. When the dragon's lair was destroyed, he picked up many gold coins and equipment. But the woman's words were the same. It wasn't that they weren't strong enough, but at the same time, at the center of the battlefield, many devils, orcs, and devils were speechless. Was this something that she should say? It was too late to say anything. Because 5 thunder forbidden spells were cast at the same time, the thunderstorm underwent a qualitative change. The players were instantly shocked. No matter who killed William. Many legendary bosses looked at this scene without any expression. No one stopped it, and they couldn't stop it. Gosh, no wonder he can resist Prince William's forbidden spells. But I feel that Prince William is going to be smashed to the beach by the waves. Everyone, leave the camp quickly. It'll be too late. Some players from the Moon and Mars had never experienced such things before, and they believed it. Many of them planned to leave the camp. But no one noticed that a dumbfounded player was crawling on a snowy mountain a few thousand meters away. 2 voices appeared on the battlefield at the same time. But let's say something that was common in all worlds. William saw 5 Grandmaster experts who had the potential of sages. For a moment. But then, he used the Holy Thunder Incarnation. Not only did he survive the baptism of the 5 forbidden spells, but he was also standing at his original position unscathed. Around him were corpses that had not escaped. Legendary. Forbidden spells. 5 forbidden spells exploded at the same time. Thunder liquid flowed endlessly, and the thunder region seemed to have turned into a sea of thunder. Bernice had made up her mind. If William was really going to die, she would definitely save him. But he had caused so much trouble, and Bernice's impression of him would definitely drop. In order to kill Prince William, he had destroyed a few mountains. Many players felt their buttholes tighten, and they clenched their fists in sympathy. William had been warned by 2 legendary bosses, but no one stopped this battle. It meant that he had made the right bet. 3 of them nodded noncommittally. But William's old acquaintance, Bloodhammer, was also present. Yes. Leave the camp quickly. I'm buying contribution points at a low price. 1,000 contribution points for 300 gold coins. What a joke, it had only been 2 months. 2 of them had died on the spot. Everyone could only see a blue ripple spreading out with a loud rumble. You weren't this fierce during a one-on-one fight, but I managed to create a resurrection armor for you. Trash, what are you afraid of? Have you forgotten about Lord Seedy's reward? But even though they had powerful firepower, they could not use their ultimate skills continuously. After all, there was a possibility of accidental injuries. William coughed lightly and showed off the 6 rings on his hand. Seedy wants to kill me. I'll double the amount he gave you. Most of his attributes and endowments were questionable. Was he not afraid of death? That was a snow mountain inhabited by a great dragon. The remaining 10 fellows heaved a sigh of relief. They had used various methods to survive the forbidden spell, but they had still suffered great injuries. They looked at William cautiously and did not dare to attack. William, who was in the center of the forbidden spell, had lost 1/3 of his health points. Little elf, don't be afraid. We won't beat you up, the players of the City of Dawn trusted William. William pursed his lips and looked aggrieved. This thunderstorm lasted for more than 10 seconds. A tall and domineering devil wielded 2 huge machetes and sneered. Is that all? That was not right. He stretched out his hand and took off the space rings. Many fellows widened their eyes and started to argue about the ownership of the rings. His endowment, Diamond Body, gave his body 3,000 plus defense. With his equipment, his defense would reach 4,000 plus. Did he overturn his car? I think he's screwed up. Recording under the eyes of countless big shots, it must be Monkey's grandfather, Baboon. Time seemed to have slowed down. What was going on? A devil could not hold it in any longer. He decided to fight for the legendary Devil's Blood Essence. Although he was worried, he wanted to see William kneeling and begging for mercy. 2 words appeared in their minds at the same time. The players were discussing fervently. Hundreds of replies appeared in a second. When they heard these words, 10 legendary bosses were attacking together. Whoever attacked would obtain the blood essence of a legendary expert of their race. This was a huge reward. Bernice did not know if William could withstand the crazy attacks of so many muscular fellows. That was right. It seemed that William was planning to record all of his battles. The players could only wait with anticipation. Out of the thousands of players, only 10 were left. They looked at William in fear. They were afraid that he would use another wave of forbidden spells to kill them. What a liar. If it wasn't for the fact that Seedy couldn't defeat Bernice, even if William survived, he would have attacked. Immortal Che Fan raised his head in anticipation as he displayed the status panel of the remaining 10 enemies. The forum of the City of Dawn exploded. Chapter 409. How should one fight against 10 opponents? A normal person would kill the weaklings first before having a good fight with an expert. But William was neither a normal person nor a human. He was a half-elf, a ranger who had to be surrounded by weaklings to activate his endowment. William targeted a person who had the aura of a sage. He was a devil with 2 machetes. William ignored the attacks of the others and charged forward to slash at the devil. That was right. It was a fight where the other party slashed at the other party. Both parties had 4 weapons. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of air being sliced could be heard continuously. After all, this demon named Tescas did not think that William would be able to defeat him when he was besieged. Tescas had an interesting endowment called Hot Blood Consecutive Strike. If he could launch a combo attack while attacking fiercely, the damage of his next attack would increase. Both of them did not take any defensive positions. They wielded their weapons and slashed at each other. Their skin was lacerated, and blood splattered into the sky. After 30 seconds of slashing, Tescas discovered a terrible problem. He could not defeat William. Not only did the wounds on his body heal very slowly, but his armor was also destroyed within 30 seconds. His weapons were also damaged to varying degrees. After all, he did not know that William's Sword of Hegney had various special effects. Although William's injuries were getting worse, they were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. D*MN, 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 use more strength. I can't take it anymore. Tescas roared continuously and activated his devil transformation. A pair of bat wings spread out, and his body grew taller. He suddenly slashed at William's head. The dark sword energy was 100 meters long. William did not dodge. The weapon in his left hand disappeared, and he grabbed the long sword above his head. Boom! The sword energy dissipated. It did not cause any damage to the left hand of God. Tescas realized that his left hand was the real killer weapon. He had been too aggressive and had forgotten about it, but it was too late. William suddenly pulled, and his body involuntarily moved closer to Tescas. The sword of Hegni pierced straight at him. Swish! Tescas spat out a mouthful of blood. His chest was pierced, and a slender thunder sword energy pierced through his back. Meanwhile, Blood Hammerhand and the other pale orc simultaneously burst out with all kinds of aura skills in an attempt to save Tescas. However, dozens of holy light shields suddenly appeared on William's body and blocked the attacks. Tescas retreated quickly, and William advanced close to him. The two of them ran one after the other until the former crashed into the iceberg. His Royal Highness crashed into him as well. His sword pierced through his chest and cut open his stomach again. His intestines were exposed to the air. Tescas spat out a mouthful of blood and slashed William's shoulder with a backhand slash. Crack! The blade pierced the bone. But the more heavily injured Tescas was, the higher his attack power was. He did not deal any fatal damage to William, because the people who were trapped in the corner by William, there was no one who could beat him. His Royal Highness abruptly punched out. Bang! Tescas's face collapsed, and his facial features almost disappeared. His head hit the ice wall. Bang, bang, bang. Each punch was stronger than the one before. The Blood Hammer looked at William and was about to hammer Tescas to death. Gritting his teeth, he wanted to kill both of them at the same time. Anyway, Tescas would not be able to survive. A heavy hammer wrapped in chains exploded with a sonic boom. It swept across and hit William's back. There was a loud rumble. Chunks of ice kept falling from the mountain peak. However, many people seemed to know that William would not die. The group of people did not dare to approach William. They continued to use their battle energy skills to continuously attack, heal, hence. William's spine had been broken, but it recovered once again. He withstood countless attacks and felt that he could not be killed. He slowly stood up. How is this possible? The Blood Hammerhand could not believe it. His fist that was tightly gripping the handle of the chain made cracking sound. When they had fought one-on-one, the guy in front of him could not even withstand one hit from his hammer. But now, he was terrifyingly tanky. As for the problem of the enemy's attack causing him to recover his health points, apologies. As a member of the Gods Continent, they had not thought of this. After all, NPCs did not have data panels. Every time they obtained new endowments, they had to use various methods to explore and discover new endowments in order to maximize their potential. What should we do? Kavos was a pale orc with the appearance of a sage. He had received guidance from the icebound sword sage. His swordsmanship was extraordinary, but now he was a little confused. The Blood Hammerhand took a few deep breaths. He turned to look at Kavos. I've fought one-on-one with him before. At that time, his recovery ability was not as strong as it is now. I suspect that he has an invincible endowment in group battles. Alundr? Kavos inhaled a breath of cold air. Alundr was once the #1 Grandmaster in the Orc Empire. Now, he had become a domain expert. Although he did not have an epic title, he was not much weaker than those experts. Yes, it's Alundr's ability in group battles. When he was the #1 Grandmaster, whenever someone challenged his position, he would clamor for us to join forces and attack him. But didn't you realize that every time Alundr fought one-on-one, he barely won? He was not as strong and ferocious as he was in group battles. Although he was holding back. but I feel that only a group battle can activate his fighting talents. I believe that the Lord of the City of Dawn has this strange ability. The Blood Hammer Hand was a devil. Although he was a boorish man, he was able to point out William's problem with a few words. Cavo's eyes lit up. That made sense. But it was a pity that William was not deaf. He had also heard what the Blood Hammer Hand had said. But he wanted to say that Olander was especially ferocious in group battles. The more enemies there were around him, the higher his defense and attack would be. For example, the Monkey King could fight 100,000 celestial soldiers and generals alone, but he could not even defeat a small monster. He could only be a hero in the game of League of Legends. The key was that there were not enough enemies and there was not enough defense. But he did not know how many attributes, attack and defense Olander could stack when facing a large number of enemies. The Blood Hammer Hand ordered the others not to attack. He and the Blood Hammer Hand went to deal with William. The prince staggered out, coughing up blood. His face was full of horror as he said, "You two despicable people. Even if I die now, I won't let you kill me. You guys." William pointed at the other people who were about to watch the show. "If you're my brother, kill me. Even if I die, I won't die in the hands of these two shameless people." The Blood Hammer Hand was speechless. Cavos, the other 7 orcs and devils were stunned. Gosh, they did not hear such an arrogant reason. However, it seemed like William was really going to die. Whoever killed William would be able to obtain the legendary blood essence. If he didn't act now and didn't manage to snatch William's head, he would be the one crying. After all, the humans had a saying. When a man is about to die, his words are kind. We believe your nonsense. Chapter 4:10. William's current condition was like that of a dying dragon. But the reward for killing him could only be given to one person, and there was no group buff effect. The remaining 7 did not want to give up the victory, so they took out their trump cards and attacked fiercely. William cursed himself for talking too much. A legendary was a legendary. When they really wanted to kill him, it was painful when they hit him. William's health points kept dropping. In just 3 minutes, he was forced to use the resurrection armor. When the others saw that he was revived, they did not retreat. Instead, they thought that it was the final radiance of the setting sun and that he would not last long. Since they all belonged to the dark forces, there were too many skills that sought to perish together with their enemies. But William grabbed hold of 2 hot-blooded fellows and used the power of dawn to unleash a long and narrow sword energy that was hundreds of meters long. In an instant, 2 heads fell to the ground. Only 5 people were left. However, the heavy hammer that was connected to the chain drew an arc in the air. Accompanied by a sonic boom, it heavily smashed into William's body. Bang! William used the left hand of the Thunder God to block the attack. But in order to prevent his arm from breaking, he did not dare to take the hit head-on. His body was sent flying like a cannonball. After the impact, William was embedded in the ice wall. William got up. The pale orc Cavos was a shield-bearer. He used his charging skill and smashed his heavy shield into William's face. Once again, he knocked William into the ice wall. Cavos used his heavy shield to block William's body and forcefully pushed him into the ice wall. When he stabbed his sword forward with his right hand, he roared, "Slash him!" However, just as they charged over, they were baptized by the soul shock wave. This large-scale Ioi attack covered a radius of a few hundred meters, and the 5 of them were overturned. Some of the fellows who did not have enough mental strength resistance almost had their souls leave their bodies. The pale orc Cavos, who was closest to William, suffered the most. Not only did he suffer from the soul shock wave, but William's mental blast also drilled into his mind. In a short period of time, various judgments appeared, and Cavos was stunned for 2 seconds. When William saw this, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy. A thunder slash heavily struck Cavos' head. Crack! The sound of a skull being flipped over was heard. A critical hit dealt 83,034 damage, But Kavos was a shield-bearer. Not only was his defense abnormally high, but his health points were also more than 300,000, which was more than 3 times that of William. Therefore, with this kind of almost exaggerated injury, as long as it did not trigger a fatal blow, it would not be able to completely kill him. But the next punch landed on his face. It was also a critical hit. Not only did Kavos's mother not recognize him, but his HP had also fallen to the brink of death. William wanted to take the opportunity to kill him. The hand of the blood hammer blocked William's charge. The hand of the blood hammer brandished 2 heavy chains, and William did not dare to move forward. It was a pity no one noticed the space scepter in William's hand. Teleportation. Swoosh. He disappeared before everyone's eyes. The next moment, William appeared behind the blood hammer hand and looked down at Kavos. 100-meter-long sword light slashed at him. Rumble. The moment the sword light slashed down, Kavos turned into a black stone. When the sword chi collided with the stone, the sword chi collapsed, and the black stone was also covered with countless cracks. But William still did not completely kill Kavos. But it had to be said that the higher the level of the professionals, the more life-saving methods they would have. Only when they were closer to death would they know how many tricks they had not used. However, since His Royal Highness wanted to kill him, he would not show any mercy. He immediately used the space oscillation, which had a cooldown of 3 hours. Buzz buzz buzz. With him as the center, a spatial ripple spread out in all directions, covering an area of 3,000 meters. The few people who were about to attack William were once again hit by an area of effect attack. At the same time they stopped. However, the hand of the blood hammer hand seemed to have accumulated enough anger points. His eyes gradually turned blood red, and so did his hands, which were emitting bright red light. His physique continued to increase, and the armor on his body kept falling off. He had turned into a 3-meter-tall blood giant. His muscles were surging with power, and he looked very explosive. William glanced at him and was about to make a move. Bang! The ground under the feet of the hand of the blood hammer hand cracked. Like a ray of bloody light, he appeared in front of William and punched his face. Rumble! William's body leaned back, and his legs dragged the ground as he retreated tens of meters. His arm, which was blocking in front of him, almost had its bones broken. The hand of the blood hammer hand had no intention of talking nonsense with William. He leaped forward like an irritable gorilla and violently smashed his hammer at William. In just a few seconds, the ground under their feet had been smashed into a crater. William did not dare to resist the hand of the blood hammer hand. But he had forgotten that there were others around him. A few seconds were enough for the experts to react. Then, a ray of black light attacked. William felt that the surrounding air had become stagnant, and his speed had become extremely slow. But it was this super deceleration that lasted for only 1 second that allowed him to see a fist that was even bigger than his head smashing towards his face. At that moment, William almost bit the bottle in his mouth. He wanted to drink the life potion to recover his health points. But a miracle happened. A lightning shadow that was burning with golden light suddenly emerged from his body. Not only did it raise its hand to block the hand of the blood hammer hand's attack, but it also slapped the hand of the blood hammer hand's face. The hand of the blood hammer hand tumbled several hundred meters away. It was the blessing of the saint's spirit. William was overjoyed. It had already been more than 1,000,000 words, and this idiot had finally appeared for the second time. But after the Holy Spirit slapped the blood hammer's hand away, it lowered its head and glanced at William with a look of disdain. Then, it slowly returned to William's body right then. His Royal Highness turned to look at the person who had used the control skill. The latter gulped and retreated quickly. It was a pity. A lightning arrow was even faster than him and hit him right between the eyebrows. Bang! The special effect of the arrow was activated, and electric arcs covered his entire body. It did not deal much damage, but it caused him to be paralyzed for 0.2 seconds. At that moment, William entered the sacred thunder incarnation state and appeared in front of him. While he was still in midair, William stabbed his sword downwards. The cursed sword pierced his body from the top of his head. He knelt heavily on the ground, and tears of blood flowed out of his eyes. His HP had reached 0. As a fatal attack came at William's back, he stepped on the dead man's shoulders and pulled out the cursed sword. He flipped into the sky and rushed at Kavos again. The latter was recovering his HP, and as long as he was given time, he would become a super shield warrior again. He tried to dodge, but William did not give him a chance. Dawn Assault. It was the super collision skill. William transformed into a bolt of lightning and crashed heavily into Kavos, pushing him all the way to the ice mountain. Boom! Kavos was embedded in the ice mountain, just like how he had withstood William. A fist that was flashing with lightning struck out. Bang! Kavos' head was like a watermelon that had fallen from a high altitude. It was the left hand of God. It was extremely powerful. No matter who you were, no matter how strong you were, in front of my fist, as long as you were not a sage, you were just trash. Until this moment, William slowly turned his head and looked at the remaining 3 enemies. He knew that he had won. If the fight continued, this group of people would definitely lose. William's various trump cards, ultimate skills, and even the sacred spirit that came out of his body made many legendary experts sigh in admiration. The transformation effect of the blood hammer hand had not ended. He leaped up again and wanted to fight to the death with William. However, just as he was about to jump into the air, a legendary demon race big shot used his chi palm and grabbed the gorilla in his hand. Ignoring the gorilla's frantic struggles, he took it away without looking back. At the sight of this, some legendary and epic big shots of the Beast People Empire didn't stay for long. They grabbed the remaining 2 warriors and left one after another. William finally heaved a sigh of relief. He sat down on the ice mountain that was full of corpses. Ahem, William, take the loot. Let's go home. A legendary elven expert coughed lightly. He knew that William wanted to rest, so he hurriedly said. William did not understand and raised his eyebrows. Then he saw thousands of frost dragons floating in the air. Oh, I understand. William collected the loot very quickly. He stored the corpses and equipment into his space ring. He wanted to take the opportunity to plunder the epic dragon's treasures. Several cold gazes stared at him. William revealed an awkward but polite smile. I'm sorry, it was in passing. It's a misunderstanding. But he said that. He did not throw out the loot that he had taken. One of the legendary big shots couldn't stand it anymore. He grabbed him by the collar as if he was grabbing a chick and quickly took him away. He had no choice. It was too embarrassing. Not only did he fight in William's territory, but he also wanted to plunder the dragon's treasures? Gosh, did he think that the white dragons were weak? Even though most of them were weak, but they also had legendary dragons. He finally knew how the City of Dawn developed. It was all because of his shamelessness. William did not stay idle as he was carried away. He immersed his gaze in the space ring. He wanted to calculate how much he had gained in the past day and night. He emptied an armory, a food warehouse, a heating warehouse, the corpses of 2 Grandmaster White Dragons, the corpse of Silag who was 404, the equipment of several thousand Grandmaster warriors, as well as the equipment of a few warriors with Saint Aura, and even the space rings. Am I going to be rich? The prince gulped. If there were no accidents, everything added up would be worth at least 20 to 30 million gold coins. But I was still too reckless. I almost died. If I wasn't in the far north and the Elven Queen wasn't paying attention to me, I might have really died. William sighed. He couldn't use this method too much, as it was too dangerous. Especially the blood hammer. After transforming, his damage was too explosive. Even with the 33% increase in attributes from the power of the Saint Spirit, William was still not a match for him. But besides the danger and rewards, he had not looked at the rewards of the SS-level mission. His victory had turned a problem into a good thing. The Devil Army would not participate in the battle. But the most important thing was, he had attracted the attention of the majority of the Orc Empire. He had also successfully allowed the Dragonblood Legion to obtain the Invincible Legion buff. That was the most important thing. With the Invincible Legion buff, he would have the super endowment of a legendary lord. This time, it was a huge gain. Next, it's time to look at the rewards of the SS-level mission. Do you want to give me 2 endowments? William laughed mischievously. He had completed the SS-level mission, so the rewards would not be small. But he did not know if he had other endowments. After all, he was an expert who was about to become a domain warrior. He was no longer an expert. He was about to become an expert. If he did not have dozens of endowments, he would not dare to be too arrogant. Chapter 4:11. William was brought back to the capital of the Snow Elves. He was summoned by the Elven Queen. He finally had the time to see what he had obtained. The 10 Years of Blood War Super main storyline mission has brought me too many things. Even a small side mission has S+, or even SS rank. The prince sat on the polar bear's fur chair and carefully opened the mission reward. Prompt: Cassidy's Revenge, a day and a night of blood war, has been completed. A prompt: You have completed the SS level mission in advance. Prompt: The completion rate is 120%. Prompt: You have obtained 3 million experience. Prompt: You have obtained the endowment. Keep going. Prompt: You have obtained endowment upgrade card X1. Prompt: You have used 5 forbidden spell scrolls to kill 3,513 Grandmaster professionals. The reward has been reduced by 80%. You will be able to obtain a random lottery X6. Prompt: You have personally killed 7 legendary bosses and caused more than 80% damage. You will be able to obtain a random lottery X7. Prompt: As you have completed the mission, the Devil Legion will not participate in the 10-year blood war. You will be able to obtain 800,000 achievement points. Gosh, I've earned a lot. Is the endowment keep going? This endowment is quite something. No matter how I look at it, it seems that I've become stronger. William's mouth twitched as he opened it. Innate talent, keep going if alive. Your continuous combat ability is enhanced. For every 10% reduction in HP, your basic attack and defense will increase by 10%, up to a maximum of 50% increase in attack and defense. Special effect, keep going. When your health is below 20%, your health recovery speed will increase by 500% for 30 seconds. Cooldown, 5 minutes. The special effect, keep going. When your health is below 10%, your basic attack will increase by 300% until your health is above 10%. Cooldown, none. Keep going. It's really cool. But the 2 special effects of this endowment are too much. It's simply forcing people to attack crazily when their health points are low. William swallowed hard. Special effect, keep going is awesome. His health recovery speed will increase by 500%, which is equivalent to 5 times. The effect will last for 30 seconds. His normal health recovery speed was 500 plus. 5 times meant that he could recover 2,500 plus health points per second, which was equivalent to 75,000 health points in 30 seconds. Shifeng only had a little over 100,000 HP right now. Basically, he was close to full HP. If he rounded it up, he would have 100 million HP. Although the skill had a cooldown of 5 minutes, in a situation where he was facing a super powerful attack, his opponent could easily devour 70,000 HP in one hit. However, when facing enemies at the peak of the same level, it was equivalent to having a super blood pool every 5 minutes. What was this called? He was basically wearing a Mad Mob's armor that only had a 5-minute cooldown. He would activate it when he was low on HP, and it was even shorter than the resurrection armor. Of course, after William upgraded the Resurrection armor to a Grandmaster equipment, it only had a 1-hour cooldown. However, the long cooldown was due to the Resurrection armor's ability to instantly recover 90% of his HP, which was the equivalent of having an additional 90,000 HP. As for Endless, within 10% of its HP, it could increase its basic attack power by 300%. TSK. How should he put it? His attack power was explosive. In the world of gods, where experts were as common as clouds, William didn't dare to act so recklessly unless he was facing some small fries. But in front of small fries, as long as he lost 50% of his HP, his defense would increase by 50%, and his defense would exceed 4,500 points. Once he activated his battle energy shield, no one could hurt him. Unless he took the initiative to lose HP, he couldn't activate this special effect. But no matter what, the endowment of Endless was really strong. As expected, endowment is given based on the type of mission. Every endowment is the same. Every time I fight, I only have to fight in close combat, and I can persist for a long time. The endowment given to me is becoming more and more like a tank endowment. William was a little sad. He really wanted to get some ranger endowments, but it was a pity that he was walking further and further down the path of a tank. He didn't know when this path of no return would end. Besides using the Saint Spirit to ambush him, he rarely used his bow and arrows. But the feeling of punching flesh felt really good. It was far more satisfying than shooting back and forth, and it was much more enjoyable. Ranger? What ranger? He was a ranger who used his fist. Why did he care? Other than the talent of fight to death. Because the Dragonblood Legion had achieved the achievement of Ever Victorious, they had also obtained the Ever Victorious buff. The name of this buff was also 2 words. It was called Godly Soldier. Just as William was about to check the Legion buff. Ding dong. Prompt. Your Dragonblood Legion has successfully activated the Dragon Slaying and Godly Soldier Legion buff. They can be fused. Prompt. Yes/no yes. William widened his eyes. 2 top-notch Legion buffs were going to be fused. Was this heaven-defying? But he didn't include the life chain. It was not considered an orthodox Legion buff. It could only be considered a secret skill. Ding dong. Prompt. Your Legion has obtained a new Legion buff. Divine Dragonslayer General Legion buff. Legion buff restriction. Effective within 100,000 meters of the commander's flag, all attributes of Legion members plus 80%. Maximum health points plus 80%. Attack power plus 100%, defense power plus 60%. Movement speed plus 40%, all elemental defense plus 30%. Dragonslayer special effect. When facing any dragon or dragon beast, the damage will be increased by 80%. Dragon Might special effect. When facing any magical beast or animal, the dragon's might will be formed. The attack power of the creature will be reduced by 30%, and the creature will not dare to approach. Divine General special effect. The morale of any legion with intelligence will be increased by 10 points, and the morale of the enemy legion will be reduced by 10 points. There is a 30% chance that the enemy will flee before the battle begins. Dragonization special effect. When all legion members transform into dragonization, the morale of the legion will be increased by 30 points, and a shadow of a holy dragon will appear above the legion's head. The legion's defense and attack power will be increased by 20%. Duration. More than 50% of the legion members' dragonization time will end. Divine Dragonslayer General, combined attack, active summon a 300-meter tall shadow that will deal 30,000 plus, the average level of the legion members x 300% x 100 damage to enemies within 50,000 meters. Approximately 60,000 damage, cooldown, 48 hours of consumption, 30% of the legion members' battle energy. This skill will automatically upgrade as the overall level of the legion members increases. William was speechless when he saw this endowment. What else could he say? Let's put it this way. Prince William, who was also a Grandmaster, could not even survive if he charged into this legion. Furthermore, the life chain was insane. He could not kill a single soldier, there was no other way. It was too brutal. It was insane to the extreme. If the legion buffs were graded, this would be the legion buff of a sage. William could not imagine how many legions in the gods' continent had such insane buffs. However, this did not mean that this legion was completely invincible. William could still vaguely remember the Dragon Cavalry Legion and the Angel Legion during the Darkness Invasion in the later stages of the game. Those legions were also extremely powerful, and the dark creatures had witnessed what was called ferocity. However, this legion had no hope of becoming a Dragon Cavalry Legion. Their attributes were naturally incompatible with the dragon race. If they were to face an epic expert, which was a domain expert, this legion would not be a match for a Grandmaster and advanced expert. It could only be said that, with the characteristics of the life chain and the legion buff, an epic expert would need at least 5 to 6 hours to defeat this legion. However, no matter what, the strength of this legion had been demonstrated. If the epic expert could not defeat the legion in 5 to 6 hours, William would be able to let this legion charge and break through the enemy lines. However, there were still disadvantages. If William was an enemy and an epic expert, he would charge into the legion, grab a few of them, and run away to kill them. If the legion members were too far away from the commander's flag, the life chain and the legion buff would be ineffective. Therefore, the legion commander and deputy legion commander have to try their best to become epic experts. Only then will the legion be invincible. William sighed. An invincible legion had begun to take shape. Now, he could only rely on time. William had not advanced to the epic level, let alone Albert, who had the legendary bloodline with the help of the blood fruit. William glanced at his legendary lord endowment. He was delighted. With this endowment, he could increase the halo buff on the Dragonblood Legion. Not only the Dragonblood Legion, but all the professionals in the City of Dawn would be able to increase the halo buff. Please refer to Chapter 392 for detailed data. After that, William did not draw any rewards. His luck points had become 1 again. After a whole year, the goddess of luck and the goddess of misfortune had been defeated. It had been a tragic loss, of course. Even if the goddess of luck had won, his luck points would only be 2. It was not as high as his original luck points, which were equal to 3. Therefore, he picked up the endowment upgrade card. He tried handsome first. He could not upgrade it for the time being. Under normal circumstances, he was already extremely handsome. He was unparalleled and had reached the peak, but he used all his endowments, but none of them could be upgraded. This made him feel a little sad. William now had 11 endowments. Handsome, Grandmaster life points, Grandmaster magic power, mutated thunder body, protection of the Holy Spirit, middle-level flying skills, diamond body, true sight, heart of justice, fight to the death, and legendary lord. I feel that there is an abnormal endowment among these 11 endowments. It's like a husky among a pack of wolves. William scratched his head. He decided to keep the endowment upgrade card for the time being. When he reached the epic level, he would choose another endowment to upgrade. His current goal was to touch Annie's thighs and draw 15 consecutive lucky draws. There was nothing wrong with that. He had now accumulated 15 random lottery tickets. He wanted to try and see what items he could draw. Chapter 412. William left the capital of the Snow Elves. In less than 10 minutes, William arrived at the Dawn Fortress. He found Annie and touched her. Then, he quickly slipped away. When the little princess came to her senses, her face was slightly red. William did not know what was wrong with her. Was she in heat? William did not know what she was thinking. Otherwise, he would have smashed her head. She was thinking too much. She was still underage. Next, William did not know if he was lucky or not. He started drawing 15 consecutive draws. Ding dong, ding dong. The notifications kept ringing. Prompt: you have randomly drawn 10 points of strength to increase. Prompt: you have randomly drawn 10 points of physical strength to increase. Prompt: William was as ferocious as a tiger. He looked at the notifications. The first 13 notifications gave William 40 points of strength, 30 points of physical strength, 40 points of agility, and 20 points of intelligence. He had a total of 130 attribute points. When William saw this, he no longer had any expectations for his luck point. Indeed, luck was not something that could be borrowed. Even 10 consecutive draws could not save him from his fate. But if he really drew some equipment, he would be even more unhappy. Legendary and epic equipment were good for players. But to a prince who was worth tens of millions, it was not as good as permanent attribute points. However, he did not know if the last 2 rewards were due to the 1 point of luck he had left. Prompt: you have randomly drawn the skill Curse of Nightmares. Prompt: you have randomly drawn the skill Soul Incarnation, 2 skills. William swallowed hard. He did not know the effect of the Curse of Nightmares, but he had heard of the skill Soul Incarnation. But in the next second, ding dong. Prompt: Soul Incarnation will be fused with your passive skill Blessing of the Holy Spirit. After the fusion is successful, the skill will become an active skill. Prompt: the success rate of the fusion is 70%. If it fails, you will lose these 2 skills. Prompt: yes/no, yes. Why would I hesitate? The blessing of the Holy Spirit will only appear twice in the 3 versions. Even if I lose it, I won't feel the pinch. As for the Soul Incarnation, it would be very powerful if it was given to a mage. But it would not be of much use in my hands. So be it. Ding dong. Fusing, ding dong. Prompt: the skill has been successfully fused. You have obtained a new skill, Holy Spirit Incarnation. William beamed as he opened up the skill information. Was he lucky? Could it be that he had sacrificed too many lottery draws, causing him to explode at this time? Holy Spirit Incarnation. Active, Level 1, Skill Description. You can summon an invincible Holy Spirit. This Holy Spirit has double your attributes and attack power. You can control it to attack your enemies with normal attack. Duration: 30 seconds. Cooldown: 3 hours. Wang Defa? William scratched his head in bewilderment. The embodiment of the Holy Spirit was quite something. First, the Sacred Spirit Incarnation was invincible. His attributes and attack power were double mine. It seemed like a lot. However, that was double his basic attribute. In William's normal state, with the addition of his bloodline and equipment, he was basically like the incarnation of a Holy Spirit. Attack power was also a basic attack power. Well, William was very clear about his basic attack power. He could not deal too much damage. However, the prince glanced at his Thunder God's left hand and immediately summoned the Holy Spirit Incarnation. He then punched the ground with his left fist. Bang! A huge pit appeared. There was no thunder. But this Holy Spirit had replicated the sharpness and attack power of the Thunder God's left hand. The power and damage caused were the strength of the Thunder God's left hand. William inhaled a breath of cold air. This Holy Spirit seemed to be able to control it. Invincible, able to dig. Bah, it can use the Thunder God's left hand. What about a ring? The prince laughed and took out a space ring for the Holy Spirit to wear. He controlled it slightly. William's 2 rows of white teeth were revealed. He could not help but want to laugh. 30 seconds passed. The Holy Spirit disappeared. The space ring fell to the ground. William had also discovered a weakness. The Holy Spirit's endurance was a little short. But I have experience points now. Come, baby, let's level up to 45 first. William frantically tapped on the B+, sign of the skill. The ding-dong sounds continued, and millions of experience points were consumed. Within a few seconds, the Holy Spirit incarnation reached the maximum level of the Grandmaster level, which was level 45. The skill description did not change at level 45. After all, it was invincible. It was impossible for the Holy Spirit incarnation to become stronger. However, the invincibility was a bug. It was very perverted. The Holy Spirit incarnation could be used as a super meat shield. It was the kind that could not be killed. After a long time, William could even equip the Holy Spirit incarnation. This was a small trick. Because the duration had increased to 5 minutes, the cooldown time had also increased to 1 hour. What can I do in 5 minutes? William sniffled. For some people, 5 minutes was enough for them to disarm once, 2 rounds of racing Cartrider, and 1 round of Dragon Gate coins for the handsome prince. 5 minutes was more than enough for him to move an entire treasure vault. The most important thing was, this guy was invincible. As long as he could safely bring back the space ring, TSK. He even dared to explore the treasure vault of the gods. That was right. The prince was a little arrogant now. He even wanted to explore the treasure vault of the gods. Of course. Although he was arrogant, it was a dream. If he did not have a dream, what was the difference between him and a salted fish? But then again, with the Holy Spirit incarnation, can I go to the Orc fortress again? Once William had this thought, he could not stop. Ever since he had emptied an Orc fortress warehouse, there were many Grandmaster experts patrolling the Orc fortress at all times. William did not have the ability to kill multiple Grandmaster professionals at the same time. But with the Holy Spirit incarnation, he only needed to hide in the safest place and let the Holy Spirit incarnation move the items. That was right. Now it was daylight robbery. Stealing? Who was he looking down on? He was the Lord of the City of Dawn, the Blackleaf Elven Prince, and a legendary lord. Was he someone who did such despicable things? Even if an epic or legendary big shot came, he would not be afraid. If he shouted in pain, he would lose. After all, the Holy Spirit incarnation was invincible. This meant that all control skills were useless against it. There were too few invincible skills in the God's continent. Although this skill made the incarnation invincible and had nothing to do with the main body, the key was who was using it. For normal people, even if they had the Holy Spirit incarnation, they would just have another combat tool. After using it, it would cool down. But in William's hands, even though the Holy Spirit incarnation was also a tool, its value was increased by hundreds of times. But there are still weaknesses. The enemy can track the Holy Spirit incarnation to find my location. William sighed. This was a little troublesome, but it was much better than taking the risk. He was dead. He was really dead. When the Holy Spirit incarnation's duration was up, he would at most lose a space ring. William looked at the level 45 skill and said thoughtfully, I wonder what will happen when I reach the epic level. It will be awesome if I can summon the Holy Spirit incarnation again. When I finish moving the items, I can summon the Holy Spirit incarnation to my side. After a long time, William looked at the Curse of Nightmares skill. Oh, isn't this the skill that forcefully controlled me when I was fighting with that group of people? TSK. This special skill is not bad. It can lock onto the enemy and forcefully control them. No wonder I couldn't dodge it. William pondered for a while, but he did not upgrade it. He decided that when he reached the epic level, he would upgrade this skill to the maximum level. When that time came, he would have another forceful control skill, and he would be able to show off his ability to steal kills. William's matter had come to an end, but the players were excited. Why? Was it because William had fought against tens of thousands of enemies and defeated them? No. It was because he had arrived at the Dawn Fortress. All the players within 1,000,000 meters of him had received 2 Halo buffs. Currently, there were more than 200,000 players and professionals in the fortress. These people had provided William with a 20% 4-dimensional attribute bonus. The professionals and players of the City of Dawn had also benefited from William's attribute feedback, which was 5% of his four-dimensional attribute bonus. Although it was all attributes without any equipment, and he had not included the bloodline bonus, the four-dimensional attribute feedback added up to about 100 points. The players were so excited that they were going crazy. In particular, they had a second halo, which increased their health points recovery speed by 300 points per second. It was simple. For intermediate players, this aura was simply heaven-defying. But the prerequisite was that they had to stay within 1,000,000 meters of William. There was a lot of discussion on the forum of the City of Dawn. When they posted the 2 aura buffs, they felt a chill run down their spine. The players of the entire Huaxia region were excited. The players of the other factions did not continue to cling to their worthless glory and loyalty. They started to embrace the City of Dawn, hoping to live under William's halo, but not long after. The foreign players from other continents started to feel jealous again. There were all kinds of complaints. Even the nations of the universe had written letters of blood from tens of thousands of people in an attempt to get the game administrator to kill William. A letter of blood from tens of thousands of people in the game. What kind of operation was that? It was a pity that the game planner was calm and unwavering. If he was strong, let him be strong. If he was strong, let him be strong. If he was arrogant, let him be arrogant. If he was arrogant, let him be arrogant. When a set of 9 Yang Tai Chi was used, the foreign players could only swallow their teeth in jealousy. They could only wait for the start of the national war to take revenge on the Chinese players. After all, they had no choice. The game planner had only used the name of the planner. They did not participate in this game at all. They did not even know where the game mainframe was. The Gods Game Company was only in charge of the forum and the official website. There was also a small fashion shop as time passed. When version 3.0 was nearing its end, 600,000 players in the legendary continent had reached the advanced level. William wanted to take this opportunity to advance to the epic level. But before that, he wanted to organize a huge event. It was the mission that he had issued at the beginning of version 3.0, who was the true chosen one. Chapter 4:13. What was the chosen son of heaven? It was the strongest and luckiest person among the chosen ones. William's goal was to choose a main character player. What was a main character player? For example, 90 million people participated in the Fight the Landlord competition. There would only be one final winner. Do you think the key to this person's victory is his own strength, or is he lucky enough? Of course, he was strong, but he was lucky. No matter how strong a person was, if he had bad cards, it would be difficult for him to win. Since he could win, among the 90 million people, there would definitely be one person who would be able to obtain good cards. Who else would be lucky if he was able to reach the end from 90 million people? Of course, he could not play Fight the Landlord in the game world. After all, luck was awesome, but strength was also very important. For example, William, who had a luck value of 1, was still living happily. So William had to balance his strength and luck. The competition rules were also very interesting. There were 3 types of competitions, and every contestant had to participate in all of them. 1. Unrestricted PK. 2. Balanced PK with attribute. 3. It was similar to the Magic Conference organized by the 4 major powers. 10,000 people would gather in an arena and engage in a free-for-all elimination match. All 3 types of competitions were based on points. The person with the highest total score would be awarded the title of the chosen Son of Heaven. In other words, the chosen Son of Heaven did not need to be the first in any of the competitions. He might be the third in all 3 types of competitions, but if he had the highest total score, he could become the chosen Son of Heaven. As long as he was in the top 3 of these 3 types of competitions, he could obtain exclusive titles, equipment, and secret manuals. I've already made the selection of the chosen Son of Heaven fairer. Next, it's up to you. William sighed. In order to make the game experience more interesting for the players, he had started to work on the game planning. But it had to be said, the selection of the chosen Son of Heaven would make the players immersed in the game. They would work hard to become the main character of the game. The 3 types of competitions tested the players' equipment, skills, and luck. Version 3.0 was nearing its end. It was the last month. The last 15 days of this month would be the global finals of the professional players, so his selection of the chosen Son of Heaven had to end before the finals. 15 days is enough. William did not hesitate. He immediately announced that all the high-level players could register. Hence, almost all of the 600,000 or so high-grade players registered for this event. The registration fee was 10 gold coins, making a profit of 6 million gold coins. The venue was not the City of Dawn, but the Snow Elves' capital city. Of course, a tall, rich, and handsome prince like His Royal Highness definitely wouldn't do it for the mere teleportation fee. Well, although this was also a problem, it was not the key, but no matter what, William had the intention to turn the competition of the Chosen Ones into a competition that would affect all the players of the continent. He also hoped that in the later stages of the game, the Chosen One competition could be held as a super event comparable to the global finals. In general, he wanted to tie the Heaven's Chosen Sons competition to himself. Wherever he was, there would be such a competition. Wherever he wasn't, it wouldn't be a proper Heaven's Chosen Sons competition. More than 600,000 people were participating in this super competition. Obviously, it was enough to attract the attention of God's officials. The game developers shamelessly put the words, Chosen One, on the homepage of the official website, pinned in red. There was no other way. The game developers of Gods really couldn't come up with anything. They could only make some of the events organized by the NPCs their own to attract the attention of the players. Therefore, within a short 2 days, the official website, forum, and various kinds of publicity within the game had spread. The Heaven's Chosen One competition became popular. There were simply too many discussions about the Heaven's Chosen One. It was so popular that it was only slightly less popular than the global finals of God. Because the key was, the title of the Heaven's Chosen One was equivalent to the main character among the players and the number 1 player among the players. Although he was only the number 1 player in the legendary continent and foreign friends couldn't participate, it was pretty good to watch. The important thing was to participate outside the game. Many players also wanted to know, could the professional players obtain the first place in this kind of competition? Actually, William had a lot of say in this aspect. Gods was a virtual online game, not a virtual competition game. Many passerby players were very strong. Whether it was in terms of equipment, secret manuals, techniques, or other aspects, they weren't much weaker than the professional players. Because in this era, becoming a professional player was equivalent to becoming a small star and becoming a public figure. At that time, no matter what they did, others would use a magnifying glass to magnify and even distort their actions. It was very likely that a normal PK in the wild would be taken out of context and turned into a negative public opinion of a professional player killing a small account. For example, at the beginning of version 3.0, the professional player, Xiao Ayan, had been deceived by "What can you do against me?" But as a public figure, she couldn't do anything about it. Therefore, due to various reasons, many passerby players wouldn't become professional players. But this grand competition of the Heaven's Chosen One had undoubtedly given many passerby players a way to stand out. It wouldn't make them stars, but it could still bring them fame and benefits. What could William gain from it? Too much. Whether it was the God of War ranking competition in the City of Dawn's arena or the super competition of the Heaven's Chosen One, they were all created by William. The players had gained enough benefits from him. As long as they had a bit of conscience, they would feel a sense of belonging to this faction and continue to work for it. Let's put it this way. If I want to keep the players firmly in my faction, I have to keep changing things and let them experience the joy of being in the City of Dawn. William didn't think that the players would stay in the City of Dawn forever just because of the halo of a legendary lord. The only thing he could do was to work hard and stack all the benefits together. Gradually, the quantitative change would become qualitative. Only then could the players stay in the City of Dawn forever. The game officials didn't expect the Heaven's Chosen One competition to attract the attention of so many players from other continents. Therefore, the game officials decided to broadcast it live. They even invited more than 20 guest commentators. It couldn't be helped. The guest commentators were all professional players. They also had to participate in the competition. They could only take turns to commentate. It was the first day of the 12th month of version 3.0. The first unrestricted PK competition had officially begun. As for the competition venue, there was no need to worry. William just had to use his face, and he would be able to find an Earth Element legendary elfin boss. He could build a super arena for him in minute. It would be enough for the players to fight until the end of the world. But time was tight and the task was heavy. There were 3 types of competitions. Each type of competition would last for 3 days. In the end, there was a period of time left for the Chinese professional players to practice and prepare for the global finals. There were many arenas and there were also many contestants. The official live broadcast was also divided into 10 screens. They chose 10 famous contestants to broadcast. Of course, there were many small screens for the live broadcast of the live broadcast by the host. On the day of the competition, the number of players who could pay to watch the competition live was relatively small among the large number of players. It was because a group of rich and bored elves were also curious about how the Heaven's Chosen One competition would be fought. Would they be courting death? After all, in the eyes of the elves, the fighting style of the players was just courting death. Therefore, almost half of the seats in William's newly built super-large competition arena had been booked by the curious elves who were not short of money. It was very rare for players and NPCs to watch the competition together. It greatly increased the immersion of the players. The first Heaven's Chosen One competition has officially begun. After the female host finished speaking, she paused for a while. She even stretched her beautiful legs in stockings. The bullet screen was filled with screams, and many people were licking the screen. The male host tried his best not to look sideways. Then, he exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, is there a second competition?" That seems to be the case. Our handsome prince had once revealed this to Chongli Jioga. The female host was called Cece. She was the official commentator for the Huaxia Alliance of the Gods. She was also a player of the City of Dawn and a loyal fan of the prince. The male host was called Kaka, and he was also a league commentator. Both of them had a tacit understanding. Kaka nodded in realization. Since Chongli Jioga obtained this information, it should be true. I believe that everyone understands the relationship between Chongli Jioga and the prince. Prince's bootlicker. Prince's bootlicker. Prince's bootlicker. There were only these 5 words on the bullet screen that blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Kaka smiled. Then, let's welcome our special guest, bootlicker professional glory player, Chongli Jioga. There was no applause. Everyone was watching the live broadcast in the game. The 5 words Prince's bootlicker continued to fill the screen. Chongli Jioga was dressed in a slim suit and walked to the front of the stage with an arrogant gait. After greeting the audience, he glanced erratically at Cece's beautiful legs in black stockings. Then, he sat on the VIP seat and coughed lightly before saying, "I'm very happy to be a special guest. It's my honor to see the great beauty Cece." Cece covered her mouth and smiled. Then, she gave him a small look. "What about me?" The male host, Kaka, looked very serious. Chongli Jioga raised his eyebrows. "Aren't you a member of the Glory Guild? You seem to be a small team leader. But I'm very familiar with your team leader." Kaka was silent for 2 seconds. Both of them laughed at the same time. It was all for the effect of the program. The bullet screen became lively, and there were no longer the words bootlicker. The female host, Cece, pursed her lips and said, "Changli Jyoga, what do you think of the Chosen One competition? What kind of results do you think you can achieve? Or rather, who do you think will become the Chosen One?" Changli Jyoga's expression suddenly became very serious. He pondered for a long time and said to the camera, speaking of how to become the real Chosen One, "Yes. My favorability with Her Highness has reached 450 points." The two hosts covered their mouths and revealed a surprised look. Then, they asked, "Are you saying that the way to become the Chosen One is to bootlick?" As she spoke, Cece licked her lips with her little tongue. The bullet screen was filled with crazy messages again. Changli Jyoga saw that the effect of the program was almost there. He hurriedly explained, "You've obviously misunderstood. What I mean is that bootlicker is also a kind of strength. However, the key to becoming the Chosen One seems to be luck. The competition has begun. The competition has begun." Kaka suddenly realized that a total of 1,000 arenas had risen out of thin air. He hurriedly turned his gaze to the arenas. Chapter 4:14. The Temple of the Thunder God? The body of the Thunder God. After Geraint sensed the aura of the Dusk Dragon, he started to look at William in a different light. He even had some plans in mind. He had bathed in the dragon blood of the Wind Dragon, and had the ability to transform into a dragon. He was definitely very powerful. Yes. His Royal Highness no longer cared about the Heaven's Chosen Child competition. Whoever won first place would be rewarded to him. This extinct dragon species was in high demand no matter which dragon race it was. However, Geraint was worthy of being a dragon that had lived for countless years. He patted William's shoulder and said with an indifferent expression, "Don't worry. As long as you don't have the bloodline and smell of the metal dragons, I won't bother with those things. Our gold dragon and silver dragon races won't cause trouble for your dragon blood legion. Isn't it just a dusk dragon? Ahem. It's called the Endless Sea of Thunder. All creatures that have been there have died there." He did not have a secretary. Even if Bernice was a sage, it was enough for her to provide a reasonable reference. It was in Nibelungen, which was the celestial realm. As for the magical players, Legolas' ability was not weak. The ranger players in the City of Dawn were increasing their affinity with Legolas. TSK. But the Elven Queen could not answer William's question. She did not know where this place was. Four sounds. Bernice was a sage of the Elven race. She had lived since the Second Era, but she could not compare to some beings who had lived even longer. The audience could not enjoy a duel without any fame. In the end, it was just a joke. He thought for a while and said in a deep voice, "You know that I was the first contestant in the Huaxia region to bathe in the dragon blood. After transforming, I became very powerful. Forever Alone and I have similar equipment, secret manuals, and dragonization abilities. If we fight again, it's hard to say who will win." Then His Royal Highness moved closer to him and asked mysteriously, "Brother Jie, do you know of a place where lightning and souls exist at the same time?" William was only in charge of organizing the Chosen Child competition, but he was not interested in watching this kind of competition. These were his methods to attract people's hearts, especially with his familiarity with the players. He was not as curious as the Snow Elf. As long as his rewards were not bad, the players would not forget him. It was the Dusk Dragon. However, it had to be said that the world of gods was too vast. Geralt realized that there was something wrong with William's gaze. Magical class players did not need to farm favorability. They just needed to spend money. "You want to choose this place to break through?" William raised his eyebrows. He did not expect this old fellow to have so many plans. But he still asked, "What request?" "Especially the magic dragon egg that was placed in the slaughterhouse. As for the shield bearers, they went to kill Whales, Violent Dragon, and the others. William had just gathered enough experience points and was stuck at level 139. He was about to enter the epic realm. However, justice and kindness, coupled with William's trust, made it impossible for Geraint to betray William. As for the class change quest, well, after he left Bernice's palace, he immediately rushed to the teleportation portal and returned to the City of Dawn. In just a few minutes. However, Geraint still asked curiously, so be it. With your current cultivation speed, stepping into the epic stage is as easy as eating and drinking. Don't worry too much. The first camera was on the captain of the Millennium Club. There were not many geniuses like him. But Bernice, who had lived for countless years, had seen them before. But William did not say that Director Emma was old. He just said that she had seen a lot. Anyway, since you're here, under the influence of my super endowment, don't think of leaving. There were many things that he did not know. This was normal. But he could not skip the class change quest. In the magical fantasy world, it was up to fate. Sometimes, even bloodlines could not decide everything. Be careful that Prince William would record this in his notebook. I know this place, but I don't know how to get there. After saying this, Geralt turned and transformed into a ray of golden light before running away. Instead, they typed question marks and were discussing what forever alone meant. Prince William was the strongest ranger in the City of Dawn, but he did not find a teacher or farm affinity points. Instead, he went to look for Legolas. Since the game had given him a mission, it meant that this place would definitely exist. Once he finished speaking, commonly known as Brother Geraint. Otherwise, if he spoke rudely, not only would he bring trouble to the Glory Club, but he would also be scolded by the fans of the Millennium Club. It's hard to say. Forever Alone's occupation is a Wind Ranger. He did not farm for Prince William's affinity points, but he became a disciple of Legolas. Any normal player would know that they couldn't learn skills from His Highness the Prince. Otherwise, they'd end up in a miserable state. Those who could become a host were not good people. The corners of Chongli Jyoga's mouth twitched. He hated this kind of question the most. D*MN, why don't you let me kill an epic expert? Even if it's difficult, can't I find a small merman? Sigh, I have to ask someone else. William was very anxious. He quickly found Bernice. For professionals. What was Geralt's motive? To be honest, William inhaled a breath of cold air. Was he going to be rich? The legendary Great Dragon said thoughtfully, "It's impossible to have thunder and a soul at the same time. But I know a place that has both thunder and a thunder soul." Oh, the thunder soul is a kind of soul. If he could get a dragon of the same age to have a good affinity with the Dusk Dragon, then the Dusk Dragon would take the initiative to leave the City of Dawn with them. Then, he would have an excuse to forcefully bring the Dusk Dragon away. He really couldn't control his wildly beating heart anymore. A person's fate was not determined by the heavens. How do I get there? William raised his eyebrows. D*MN, I didn't expect to be cheated by an NPC even after I became an NPC. William felt sad. He recalled the days when he was a player, but he was controlled by the lies of NPCs. Because he could understand Geralt's motive. As he spoke, it was beautiful. For example, Moses. William was a little disappointed. But he did not expect something unexpected. It was as flirtatious as it could get. After all, it was worth watching. William had no reason to refuse. He even hoped that some gold and silver dragons would stay in the City of Dawn for a long time. He believed that with his looks, no matter what kind of dragon he was, he could get a good affinity with. The arena that was selected by the official live broadcast was either a professional player or a very powerful passerby player. They were more or less famous. The legendary gold dragon, Geralt, who had helped William look after the house for more than half a year. Fly over. He coughed slightly and stopped showing off his erudite knowledge. He described in a mysterious tone, "That place is not in the gods' continent." The first time Geralt saw this dragon egg, He almost took it away. William was very anxious. He did not know what Gerald was thinking. For the first time, he did not choose to be friendly. Instead, he refused. "Brother Gerald, I'm very busy. Can you wait until I have time? We can discuss those issues." "You're finally back. I have a lot of questions to ask you." Gerald was very curious about the commoners of the City of Dawn. He really could not understand why this group of people was so peaceful and friendly. Basically, other than the group of chosen ones who would fight and kill, the others would not have disputes at all. It was because of breaking through to the next realm. Everyone had their own reasons and reasons. Where is the place where thunder and souls coexist? William thought for a long time, but he could not find the location in his memory. But this battle is an unrestricted competition. During the finals, many strange props will appear. No one is absolutely sure. Changli Jyoga had once defeated Forever Alone in the arena of the City of Dawn, which was the God of War ranking tournament. He intended to let some of the younger generations of the Gold and Silver Dragons come here and let these fellows of the same age as the Dusk Dragon get along well. He would strive to abduct the Dusk Dragon. An hour passed. But this was the official live broadcast room. He decided to use a fair tone and attitude to comment on the professional players of other clubs. The beautiful Cece swayed her long legs and bit her sexy lips as she asked, "I remember that you defeated Forever Alone in a duel. Now, who do you think will win in a duel between the two of you?" But she had also seen some super geniuses who were stuck in a certain realm. In the end, they gave up and died of depression. William blinked his big eyes in confusion. He pointed at his head in disbelief. "Have I been tricked by a dragon? Forever Alone. There was nothing that money could not settle. If money could not settle things, it was because money was not enough." Bernice could feel his eagerness, but she didn't say anything. Bernice did not know if William would be so unlucky, but she would not criticize him. If William could not find that place, it meant that he would never be able to break through. That would be great. William smiled awkwardly. When he was about to leave, he suddenly looked at the old man who had lived for many years. He could already imagine the two groups of fans quarreling in the bullet screen. Mission objective. As a Thunder and Soul duel professional, please find a place where Thunder and Soul can coexist. But saying that it was random was to deceive the audience. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your guidance. I understand." The prince nodded and quickly left. In his eyes, the City of Dawn was a paradise. It was a Garden of Eden filled with infinite beauty. It's not that I don't want to tell you, the fans did not care if Changli Jyoga could defeat Forever Alone. Because the Dragonblood Legion and the Dragon Race were natural enemies. After all, Geralt was the messenger of justice and kindness. He would never steal or rob. The 1,000 arenas will start at the same time. Let us choose 10 scenes at random. The male protagonist looked at the greasy middle-aged man and the passerby player opposite him. He did not introduce them. He sighed and said, "I didn't expect the first wave of competition to include a veteran professional player. It's really unexpected. Jyoga, how far do you think Forever Alone can go?" "Alright. But what kind of place was the City of Dawn?" After all, as a handsome legendary lord who could attract the love of two goddesses at the same time, he had too many things to do every day. Does such a place exist in the world? Geraint was bewildered. After Geralt saw that William had agreed, he said straightforwardly, "The place that you want to go has existed since the mythological era. But only a few people know about this place. I'm very knowledgeable and immersed in the sea of books since young." That was right. And the formation of the Sea of Thunder might be related to the Thunder God. "So you're not confident?" Kaka pretended to be at a loss and asked. After contacting a few big shots, a sage like Bernice said helplessly, "I've asked some people, but they don't know about such a place. Maybe there is no such place. But since you're about to enter the epic level, you don't have to be too anxious. You're still very young. As long as you train patiently, sometimes you'll naturally break through. William raised his eyebrows and nodded decisively. He agreed to Gerant's request. This was William's occupation change mission. I've lived in the City of Dawn for more than half a year. I feel that it's not bad here. I intend to let some of the younger dragons come here to learn. I wonder if you, the City Lord, can agree? Gerant raised his eyebrows. Why didn't he agree quickly? Even the capital of the human empires welcomed the golden dragons and silver dragons very much. Was William going to refuse? No matter how many people came, whether they were humans or not, gosh. What? Where is it? William grasped his arm tightly and asked. Thus, he obtained the title of God of War in the first season of the ranking tournament. Mission difficulty? Epic Ranked Class Advancement Quest. Every Epic Ranked powerhouse has used the elements to their limit. In order to become stronger, they have no choice but to turn their bodies into elements completely to display greater strength and power. Was William worried? No matter what he wanted to do. Instead, it was shaped by his every decision. For example, today. But when William saw this mission, he was dumbfounded. A super genius like William was going to become an epic expert at the age of 22. Chongli Jyoga had a pained expression. This group of hosts loved to create news, especially news about their professional players. Mission reward. Epic. In fact, she was not sure if William could become an epic. Her eagerness was understandable. Go professional. Condense your own elemental body. The strong bull-like brother Gerant's anus tightened when he was stared at. It was interesting. Many people advanced quickly, but they might be stuck at a certain stage for a few years, more than 10 years, or even a lifetime. But then again, this kind of thing had to be done by Moses. This game did not have a mission exemption card. The images of the 10 arenas appeared. It was William's hometown. Bernice glanced at him and saw his current strength. She seemed to know what he wanted to do, so she asked him to wait patiently. Gerant swallowed his saliva and gestured for William to relax. It was as if William would molest him if he did not tell him. William came to the warm City of Dawn from the cold and snowy land. He did not feel uncomfortable. Just as he was about to run to the fortune-telling shop, he was blocked by someone. But if this group of people came to the City of Dawn, the Dragonblood army would not be able to return home. Gerant raised his eyebrows. He was not angry because he realized that William was on the verge of breaking through. Chapter 4:15. Prompt. Your Battle Energy Secret Manual and Magic Hair Secret Manual have reached level 60. He only felt a thunderous roar within his body. Come, take off your clothes. Let me examine your body. Special effect. Health plus 8,002 hours? Bloodline potential. Legendary, level 140 basic attributes plus 110%. Don't worry, I will leave the God's continent for a period of time. He did not know what dimension the Thunder World belonged to. He seemed to be floating in the air, but almost every inch of space around him was filled with lightning. Special effect. Power plus 60, physical strength plus 60, agility plus 60, intelligence plus 150. The players were shocked. Luck, 1 cursed. The prince did not know how strong they were. William ignored it. He pushed open the back door and went to Moses' study and laboratory. He discovered a problem. He glanced at the black cat lying on the table and muttered, I don't know when the God's continent appeared, but the most ancient era was the mythological era. It was the era when the gods ruled the world. At that time, almost all the experts were gods. But he knew that the leader of the gods' continent, the Pope of the Temple of Light, should not be weaker than the main gods. Others. Yes, that was what he said. He said to all the sages of the gods' continent in the next moment. 3 seconds later. Special effect. Endurance plus 5,500. The plus in brackets was the equipment attribute increase. Of course, none of the above would happen. The prince did not pay much attention to his physical condition. He only felt that his power was increasing. I'm still young and underage. I shouldn't use my brain too much. Otherwise, it would be sad if I go bald before I reach middle age. The prince caressed the black cat. Before it could react, he pushed open the door and left. He looked around in bewilderment. Prompt: Your endowment Thunder Body mutation has advanced to Thunder Physique mutation. Could it be that Moses has become a legendary boss? William was curious. When William read the letter and the last sentence, he could not help but feel warmth in his heart. There were 3 hearts in this letter. His eyes uncontrollably shot out 2 bolts of lightning. The distance was more than 2,000 meters, and this lasted for more than 10 seconds. Only then did the energy completely stop shooting out. He quickly stopped thinking. He had used too many brain cells and was about to lose his hair. That was because epic experts could only form an elementary elemental body. William did not dare to read too much information. He was afraid that he would be cursed. When the prince opened the envelope, apart from the letter, there was also a ring. William stopped letting his imagination run wild, because he realized that his body was starting to turn into an element. William Blackleaf, profession: Saint Soul Magister. In addition, those who had been there before were basically all dead. However, the Thunder Souls also had no intention of leaving the Sea of Thunder. But be careful. He felt as if he had turned into lightning. His skin, bones, hair, and every part of his body was being transformed by lightning. He didn't feel the pain of a breakthrough. This was one of the ultimate trump cards of epic expert. Prompt: You have obtained the talent Beginner Elemental Body. As for how strong he was, William was not someone who would say such things. All the races in the gods' continent, even the great dragons, were the slaves of the gods. During this advancement, he had completely forgotten about the time. He had completed his occupation, and his body uncontrollably started to advance. Recovery speed: 450 points per second. Are those the Thunder Souls? William inhaled a breath of cold air. He could feel the power of the Thunder Souls. It was as if each Thunder Soul had the aura and power of an epic expert. Prompt: Your endowment Grandmaster Magic Power has advanced to Epic Magic Power. 1 point of intelligence equals 1. 6 magic attack power. Prompt: You have advanced to the epic level. 4-dimensional attributes plus 100. Your health points plus 8,000. Your charm points plus 20. The density of the thunder element was almost explosive. It was as if the thunder element in the entire God's continent was not as abundant as the thunder element in the thunder world. Endowment: Handsome Thunder Constitution, Mutated Beginner Elemental Body. The dense and surging thunder power continuously engulfed his body. Prompt: You have become a Realm Ranger and Saint Soul Magister. In the Thunder Sea, there were lifelike bolts of lightning. They flowed in the Thunder Sea as if they had souls. Occupation: Guardian of Dawn. Attribute: Thunder. A level: Legendary, but the elemental body also had differences in strength. The beginner elemental body could not completely eliminate its fatal weakness. William did not know. In his previous life, he had only reached the legendary level before he was defeated. The most important thing was, when he walked in, the first thing he saw was the Blood Dragon's dragon crystal that was placed on the accessory rack. There were a total of 8 other dragon crystals, and they seemed to have formed some kind of magic formation. Endurance points: 33211, but he had to take a look at the interface. After all, it was very important. Every professional who had advanced to the epic level would obtain an elemental body that belonged to them. The prince passed by this place and continued to walk further inside. As he walked. Moses had also said that as long as he did not take too many risks, it should not be a problem for him to break through to the next level. In particular, I heard the Thunder God say 2 words. Celestial race? Tisk tsk. I have added 160 points of agility to my physical strength. As expected, my health points have increased to more than 200,000. William felt extremely comfortable. From this moment onwards, he could be considered a true expert. Health points 237472. The Thunder World was the hometown of the Thunder God. It was also the place where the Thunder God was born. Be careful. The Thunder World is the hometown of the Thunder God. There are thunder spirits in the Thunder World. Does that mean that the Thunder God's original body is a thunder spirit? Some parts of his body turned transparent blue. Agility 2526. Thunder World. Omitted. William did not bother about it. He just waited quietly. Level 45/level 60, 3230/12530000. Experience. William, I'm about to become a great enchanter. But the method and difficulty of my breakthrough will cause a huge commotion. When the time comes, people will inevitably notice my existence. But in the next moment, in front of him, at a position about 100,000 meters away. Recovery speed 450 points per second. Information kept popping up in the information box. Experience 2333/33323425. Does that mean that the Thunder Spirit is the materialization of the Thunder element? Or that the gods are the children of heaven and earth? William's brain was working furiously. He wondered if Moses had calculated his luck value. Because this so-called endless sea of thunder, the Thunder World, was actually the hometown of the Thunder God. Elemental body. He did not dare to go near it. At the level of a sage, there was no weakness on his body. His head and heart were no longer fatal injuries. Signed, Moses, because the players had discovered a problem a long time ago. In these 3 versions, the number of times the players had seen William at the fortune-telling shop was definitely no less than a few hundred times. As for how to kill a sage? Power 2781. Every time William entered the fortune-telling shop, he would lock the door. The lightning element had already turned into a boundless ocean, with no end in sight. It was called the Endless Sea of Thunder by a few people, but no one knew its original name. Should I go now? William held the purple teleportation scroll in his hand. He hesitated for a while before placing the small bottle containing 10 drops of life potion in his mouth. Then, he crushed the scroll. In his previous life, he had heard a sentence from the sage. Only a sage could completely condense a perfect elemental body. The blood moon, which wore a snow-white magical robe. She appeared in front of him, unlike her usual sexy appearance. Your Highness, Master asked me to leave a letter for you. Then, he did not have much contact with the blood moon and quickly left. 1 hour? Battle energy points 13,000/13,000 points. Physical strength 1835 in the next second. Thunder World? Thunder Spirit? William stroked his chin and pondered. Once again, he had collected a lot of information about the god. If one wanted to find the place where thunder and soul coexisted, one could crush one of the purple teleportation scrolls, and it would directly bring one there. William stuffed the letter into an envelope and placed it in the space ring. He finally understood why no one knew the location. It was targeted at epic and legendary experts. As long as they were beheaded, they would still die. It was just that they could not easily inflict fatal damage. He did not know how much time had passed. Of course, Saint Soul magic. He was not at the place where the thunder element was the densest. Charm 303+102. Little show, didn't they say that Prince William is still underage? His body became distorted. It was as if he had entered a space tunnel. His surroundings were endless darkness. As for those who were stronger than the sages, they were the god of light, the goddess of fortune, and the goddess of misfortune. They were the main gods. Can I assume that the gods are the messengers who represent the rules of heaven and earth? But the materialization of the rules allows them to have bodies? Actually, the gods are not a race. They are a group of people who are born and bred by heaven and earth. Are they considered gods? William's body was covered with lightning. It was as if he was burning with blue flames. His aura kept increasing. Special effects: power plus 90, physical strength plus 90, agility plus 90, intelligence plus 50. A level 140. The basic attributes were as follows: frowny face magic points, 13,000 points. The elves, humans, Serafkin, and other races did not have any expert. Even if there were a few experts, they were not worth mentioning in front of the gods. As William thought about it, he suddenly pulled out a handful of hair. The players were curious. Why did he return to the City of Dawn instead of hosting the Chosen Child tournament? They did not want him to worry about her. They wanted him to be careful. Although some saints had fallen at that time, they were not killed by legendary bigwigs. Where did she go? William was stunned. It was no wonder that Moses had not appeared, even though he had been there for a long time. Special effects: health points plus 9,000. A level legendary. It would also reduce the number of weaknesses. His limbs, torso, and most other parts of his body could be easily recovered. Even the Elven Queen, who was a sage. Prompt: your endowment intermediate flying skill has been upgraded to advanced flying skill. You will consume battle energy to fly at a maximum speed of 600 kilometers per hour. From then on, epic experts could not only easily borrow elemental power. Are you done with the calculations? That Moses just left too. William scratched his head. After he left the alternate dimension, he sat on the boss chair in the fortune-telling shop and read the letter. I, the Supreme Pontiff of Light, can defeat a few hundred of you by myself. Intelligence: 1449. Sacred Dawn battle energy. William walked on the streets of the City of Dawn. Soon, he was followed by some crazy players. They were trying to get a strange encounter. The special attributes were as follows. When William opened his eyes again, he discovered that he had appeared in the Thunder World. If this place had only been 1,000 square meters, it was now at least 3,000 to 5,000 square meters. The most shocking thing was that the magic density here was more than 10 times higher than the outside world. Prompt: your endowment Grandmaster Life has been upgraded to Epic Life. 1 physical strength equals 120 health points. A legendary expert had condensed an intermediate elemental body. The little black cat was curled up on the table, fast asleep. When William came in, it opened one of its eyes to take a look, then stretched its limbs and stretched its body, intending to go back to sleep. It did not play the role of a watchcat at all. Ding dong. Your goal is to break through to the next level. Once you enter, you just have to break through quickly and come back. Level 4565, 12/1237300. William slowly felt the changes in his body. Once he said that. He did not want to stay there for too long. But the prince did not even have the time to interact with the legendary Great Dragon. He was not interested in these players. The activated special effects and skills are as follows. This alternate dimension had become bigger. He felt the thunder elements in his body continuously increasing. Even his saint's soul magic had undergone a qualitative change. Race: half-elf. As for Moses knowing about the Thunder World and having a way to enter, it confirmed that Moses was the reincarnation of a god. The pleasure of leveling up was getting more and more exaggerated. He did not have time to pay attention to the distant sea of thunder. Or one day. He first glanced at the space ring. There was a large pile of space teleportation scrolls. Among them were 2 purple scrolls. They seemed to be fixed-point teleportation scrolls. Not long after, William ignored the group of newbies and quickly walked to the fortune-telling shop. After he entered the shop, he immediately locked the door. Many players started gossiping again. The long-legged, ferocious, and female which smiled. I don't know where Master went. I only know that Master intends to step into the next realm, so he will be away for a period of time. As for this letter, it's to answer your questions. Some people had entered to search for the inheritance and relics left behind by the Thunder God. But most of them had died there, after an unknown period of time. From then on, the Pope of Light was called the Emperor of Coercion by the majority of players. Prompt: you have successfully changed occupations. There was a ding-dong. Oh! William sized up the blood moon witch and could not help but sigh. She had such a sexy figure. Why did she wear a magic robe to conceal her charm? It was a waste of her body. Special effect. Omitted. Age, 22. TSK. Prince William is really frequent. I wonder who is on the offensive and who is on the receiving end.